I sit in the soft light and invite a calm to settle. I speak slowly. I set a tone that is gentle and steady. The room breathes with the same pace as a deep, slow inhale and exhale. I welcome a quiet that is honest. I welcome honesty in the heart. I ask that openness come as a simple thing. No need for perfect words. No need for neat answers. Bring what is true. Bring tiredness, relief, doubt, restlessness, and hope. Bring the small, stubborn griefs that follow like shadows. Bring the quiet joys that feel too small to name. All of it can come. All of it is safe here. I suggest a few small acts before we begin. These are simple. They ask little energy. They invite presence. Set the lean to a comfortable place. Adjust a pillow. Let the back rest against support. Let the hands find a soft place. Loosen the jaw. Soften the shoulders. Allow toes to relax. If lying down is easiest, lie down. If sitting is best, sit with feet on the floor and hands loose in the lap. Turn the bright lights down. If a lamp casts a warm circle, let that be enough. The world can be dimmed for this hour. Let screens rest face down. Let the clatter of the day sit at the threshold. We do not need lists to follow us here. If a drink comforts, pour a small cup of tea or water. Hold the warmth. Take a slow sip. Notice the temperature. Notice the feeling that reaches into the chest and quiets a little. Bring a single breath to notice. Inhale for a quiet count. Hold for a moment that is not rushed. Exhale slowly. Let the breath find a longer path on the way out. Repeat twice more. With each exhale, imagine letting a small worry go. Imagine each inhale as a gentle offering of willingness to rest. Place a hand over the heart if that helps. Feel the steady beat. Feel the close, familiar rhythm. Let the hand remind that there is life here. Simple and faithful. Stay aware of that pulse as a kind, small companion. I remind the listener that authenticity is the language of healing. Pretense does not heal. Performance does not soothe the deep parts. Allow the voice in the chest to be honest. Even if the words are thin, we do not need to fix what we feel tonight. We only need to attend. We listen. I listen with you. Bring any sharp edges of shame or fear to the surface. They are welcome. I do not ask for explanations. I only ask for what is true in the moment. Say the name of the feeling silently. Let it exist without judgment. Let it be noticed and not assaulted. Being seen is balm. I offer a quiet assurance mercy is present. Not an abstract idea, a steady presence that does not count mistakes. It meets the body where it is. It meets the mind in its wandering. It meets the heart with an uncomplicated softness. This evening rests beneath that assurance. Hope is not a loud herald here. It is a small, persistent light. It does not deny hardship. It simply whispers that something more than what is visible is at work. There is room for hope to sit beside sorrow, like a small lantern beside a tired traveler. I read in a slow manner, Words are measured. Pauses are long enough to breathe into. I choose phrases that settle easily on the ear. Sentences arrive like gentle footsteps. The voice is a low instrument for rest. Not an argument. There is no need to prove anything. There is no need to convince. The purpose is comfort and gentle redirection. If thoughts wander, that is natural. Allow them to drift like leaves on a river. Notice they are there. Guide attention back, as if steering a small boat to shore. No scolding, no force. A soft turn back to breathing, to the sound, to the word that brings ease. I invite silence between words. A measured quiet is part of the reading. It gives space for the heart to respond. It gives time for a phrase to sink into the bones. Silence is not empty here. It is a presence that holds whatever arises. Tonight's reading is for the one who is weary. It is for the one who has carried more than a person should. It is for someone awake in the dark, with questions that ache. It is also for the gentle soul who seeks assurance and calm before rest. I avoid heavy debate. I do not argue ideas. I do not press doctrine. The focus is tenderness. The focus is healing. Scripture appears as an offering of rest, not as a list of laws or a checklist of rightness. It reads like a warm blanket, a slow hymn, a familiar hand on a shoulder. Imagine a small path through a quiet garden. The path is lined with soft grass. A bench waits beneath a tree. You sit. The evening air presses cool and kind. I sit beside you at a small, respectful distance. I open the Bible. I do not rush. The pages turn slowly, like leaves stirred by a light wind. The words come in simple cadence. They land softly. I paraphrase passages rather than speak them as a test. The essence comes through like a clear stream. Themes of healing and gentle correction surface. Images of a shepherd tending to a flock. Scenes where wounded hearts are approached with care. Promises that rest can be found when burdens are set down are present, but not in argumentative form. The narrative stays patient. I speak of patience in the language of the present. The present moment is where healing breathes. Past hurts remain in the background. They do not vanish instantly. Still, when attention rests on the present, a small shift can occur. Pain does not disappear, but it loosens its grip by degrees. Comfort is not rushed. Recovery rarely moves in linear strides. It comes in small, steady movements forward. Tonight is not about measuring progress. It is about being companions with the moments as they are. It is about receiving grace for tonight. I invite quiet confession in the simplest sense, not confession of sin as an accusation, but confession as honesty. Say aloud, if the heart wishes, one thing that is hard. No drama, no story, a single phrase, then let it rest. Let the air take it. This simple act can bring a soft unburdening. If speaking aloud is too much, hold the difficulty in the mind, and then imagine setting it on the bench beside you. See it there. Notice the relief of unwaiting just a little. There may be tears. Let them come. They are not failure. They are moisture that washes the dust of weariness from the face. They are a sign of openness, not weakness. The eyes are allowed to be a vulnerability that heals. I will read passages that speak of care and restoration. I will choose them for their peace. The language will be vivid enough to picture a homecoming, a mending, a quiet, repair. Listen for images of light that finds cracks, of rooms that warm after a long cold night, of hands that lift and steady. These images are meant to cradle the mind. Rest is a command here, in the sense of an invitation. The body is invited to its Sabbath. The mind is invited to its Sabbath. The heart is invited to its Sabbath. We do not frame rest as the reward for perfect effort. Rest is given freely. It is not earned here. It arrives like an unforced kindness. Praise might be small tonight. Gratitude might be a single breath of thanks for one small thing, perhaps the cooling of a room, the scent of a nearby plant, the fact of surviving another day. These small gratitudes are not forced. They are gentle notices that remind of tender textures in ordinary life. If doubt rise, it need not be chased away. Doubt can be a companion that nudges questions into the open. We treat it with curiosity rather than fear. Ask the question softly. Offer it a seat. Then allow Scripture to speak not as an argument, but as a friend who sits and shares tea. I aim for an even tempo. The reading will not startle. There will be no abrupt shifts. The voice carries a lullaby rhythm while staying clear. No heavy theology interrupts. The language is human and accessible. The goal is to soothe, not lecture. During the readings, I will sometimes pause to name what a phrase might mean for a weary soul. These moments are small. They are brief reflections. They are bridges between the words on the page and the lived moment in the chest. Think of them as gentle footnotes in the margin of the night. We stay together in a shared silence when a passage closes. The silence keeps the space warm. It keeps the reading tender and receptive. If sleep comes before a passage completes, that is entirely welcome. Sleep is itself a healing passage. If the heart resists rest, I do not push. Resistance is respected. I offer patience. I offer a repeated invitation. Come back to slow breath. Come back to a held hand. Come back to the page whenever it feels safe. Tonight, I promise no urgent counsel. No pressure to be anything more than present. The reading is an evening companion. It is a quiet friend that opens pages without demands. It steadies the night with words that slow the pulse. When the welcome draws to a close, we will move gently into the first passage. I will name the theme and then read in the same measured cadence. If the voice fades as sleep comes, that is a good sign. Rest is fulfilling its quiet work. For now, linger in the invitation. Let the breath be steady. Let the shoulders drop. Allow the heart to be honest. Mercy rests nearby. Hope glows like a single candle. I remain here, patient and unhurried, ready to read when all feels softened enough to receive. Stay with this breath. Stay with this quiet. When the moment comes, I will turn the page and begin. They subscribe, comment, and share with a wider community looking for peace and tranquility. A small, growing band gathers in the quiet hours. Notes arrive like soft echoes. I see them, even if I do not answer each one aloud. The presence of others calms the room, as if many lamps are lit in distant windows. That knowing steadies a lonely thought. It says you are not the only one who wants rest. I settle into the part of the night where stories breathe slow. I speak in a measured tone. I remind the listeners that I read the Bible to them before sleep. I do this simply. I do this with care. Tonight, I bring an image that has comforted people for generations. I offer it not as a test, but as a blanket to fold around the shoulders. I name the image in plain words. God is like a shepherd who tends. The words land easily. They do not demand proof. They ask only to be held. Picture a shepherd who knows the sheep by name. Picture steady steps along a known path. Picture the small attentions that keep life from slipping away. Water found. Grass that nourishes. Danger noticed and away. The comfort in that image is quiet. It is not loud consolation. It is a small settling in the chest. It is the easing of a grip. I say this slowly so it can sink. The thought arrives in soft pulses. Someone watches. Someone cares. Someone provides. Safety is not a loud fortress. It is a steady hand at the back of the neck. It is a soft guidance that turns hunger into fullness. It is a presence that watches the night without hurry. I read the idea to the room. I let the phrase sit between breaths. The pulse in the wrist becomes an instrument of attention. Breathe in, breathe out. Imagine that each inhale gathers what is worn. Each exhale lays a small thing down. There is relief in placing burdens where they are seen. The shepherd image opens a way to receive care. It invites trust in the low, practical things. It asks us to notice simple provisions, a filled cup, a sheltered place, a hand that steadies when the path rocks. These are not dramatic rescues. They are gentle arrangements. They make life bearable in the slow hours. I do not ask for grand belief. I offer a gentle invitation. Let the idea be what it is. Let it wash across thought like a warm cloth. Accept the small proof of care already present. The cup on the table, the breath that keeps time, the roof that holds the rain. Even breaths are proof. These tiny things show that care is already at work. When worry rises, it can be framed against this image. Worry is like a stray sheep. It wanders into brambles and calls out. The shepherd does not abandon it to the thorns. The shepherd moves deliberately, finds the path, and draws the sheep back. The act is simple. It is practical. It does not shame the wandering. It meets it with quiet retrieval. I ask the listeners to imagine that retrieval as tenderness rather than reprimand. Picture a hand that lifts without fuss. Picture eyes that meet without blame. This image turns the sting of failure into something softer. It does not erase mistake. It reframes it as something that can be tended. There is a provision implied here. When the shepherd tends, want ceases. Want in its sharpness is soothed. The phrase does not promise a life without lack in every detail. It promises that the essentials are met. Safety presents, and guidance appear like a trio of quiet gifts. They steady the night. I speak about presence more than proof. Presence is a kind of proof that rests in the body. It shows up as loosened shoulders and softened jaw. It shows up as a slower throat carrying speech. These are small signs, but they are true. They mark a change in the nervous system. The body responds when it senses genuine care. I invite a small exercise in imagination. Place a hand lightly over the heart. Feel the beat. Keep breathing slowly. Picture the shepherd's presence as warmth beneath the palm. The warmth is not an abstract force. It is as concrete as a lamp that warms a room. Let that warmth spread a centimeter or two at a time. Let the shoulders soften under it. Let the breath find a longer path. As the warmth spreads, consider the language of need. Need does not define a person here. It is a condition that can be met. The shepherd attends to it without tallying failures. Mercy shows up in the small, practical ways mercy can be known: food when hungry, direction when lost, patience when slow. I avoid heavy theology. I do not press labels or arguments. The conversation is about comfort. The reflection is about the practical experience of being cared for. The Bible language is a map, not a courtroom. It points toward a practice of rest. Rest is offered, not demanded as earned. Sometimes the night brings fear. It arrives like wind at a thin window. The shepherd image steadies fear by offering companionship. Fear still exists. It still touches the glass. The shepherd sits on the other side and does not leave. The presence reduces the edge of fear. It keeps the lamp lit even when the window rattles. I describe this as a living kindness. It is not sentimental. It is a real, embodied tending. Imagine a small hand turning the page of a worn map. Imagine a voice that names a safe route. Imagine a companion who walks at a pace that matches aching feet. These are not grand gifts. They are the necessary ones. The comfort of knowing someone tends us is also a comfort in memory. Old wounds that itch at night are received differently when there is a watcher who remembers how to care. The memory of hurt remains, but it sits in a context of being attended. Pain does not become the whole story. It becomes a chapter on a shelf that someone visits with ointment and time. Compassion in the shepherd image also allows for rest without guilt. Rest is not a failure. It is a trust that one is not required to carry everything alone. The shepherd bears part of the load by simply being present. To rest is to accept help. It is to say yes to a support that exists beyond the self. I read in a slow cadence, letting each picture draw breath. The words are spare. They are meant for the ear at night. They do not demand analysis. They invite presence. The book in my hands is a companion that has seen many nights. It offers images that settle a mind and fold a day into softer cloth. There is also guidance here. The shepherd leads on familiar tracks. Direction is part of care. The sense of being guided is gentle. It does not erase choice. It points out safer footing. It suggests rest points along the way. For someone who is tired of making every decision, this is a relief. Guidance frees energy so small strengths can be renewed. I allow silence after each image. The silence holds what is said, like a bowl holds water. In that silence, listeners can place their own small pains and watch them become less sharp. Silence is not empty. It is hospitable. It makes room for private things to soften. Mercy is practical in this image. It meets the body first. It meets the night when sleep is elusive. It meets the mind when thoughts spiral. The shepherd attends at each level. This layered care is a kind of assurance that does not argue, it simply acts. I also note that comfort is not a quick fix. The script of a single night does not erase deep wear, but it does create an environment where healing can breathe. Small reliefs add up. A night of true rest lowers tension tomorrow. Bit by bit, the body learns that care exists. I watch the breath in the room. I keep my voice even. I remind the listeners to return to the image. If thought drifts, picture the shepherd's presence, the warmth at the heart, the hand that steadies. Return to these three things like a small prayer that needs no words. The community of listeners matters here. Knowing that others are holding the same image strengthens it. Shared attention multiplies calm. In that shared stillness, mercy feels more accessible. Hope becomes communal, not solitary. Many lamps mean a steady horizon. I end this section the way a gentle guide would, by leaving an image to hold. Keep the shepherd near the heart. Let the sense of being watched with care remain as you move towards sleep. Do not force anything. Let rest come when it is ready. If sleep does not come, keep the warmth under your palm and breathe. When the time comes to move on, I will turn another page. For now, linger with the idea that someone tends the flock. Let the knowledge ease the jaw. Drop the shoulders and lengthen the breath. Let it be enough tonight to know a steady presence watches and provides. Keep that thought like a small light. Let it lead toward rest. I settle back into the light and name what comes next. The shepherd image rests where it was placed. Now I turn to a small, practical invitation. It is the act of laying down what presses. The ancient writer whose words I turn to tonight asks us to do this. He counsels to bring needs and requests to God, to pair them with thankfulness, and to trust a peace that watches the heart. I do not heseche scripture. I offer that counsel as a bedside practice. This is a quiet exercise. It does not require words spoken aloud. It does not demand a tidy list. It only asks a willingness to hand things over, one by one. Imagine the palms of the shepherd. They are steady. They are ready. They will not drop anything. The hands are patient. The hands keep things safe. Begin by finding a single worry, not all of them at once. Choose one small thread. It could be a loose coin of fear about tomorrow. It could be a small ache that wakes late. It could be a question that circles and does not rest. Name it to yourself in a few simple words. Say the name silently. Hold it like a smooth stone. The naming is a soft act of honesty. It does not make the worry bigger. It simply gives it a place. Bring that stone to the palms you imagine. Place it there with gentle care. If helpful, feel its weight. Notice how heavy it is on the imagined hand. Let the breath match the weight. Inhale to acknowledge. Exhale to hand it over. The act is slow and deliberate. It is not dramatic. It is a small transfer. If a worry resists being named, do not force it. Sit with the not knowing for a moment. Let the feeling be a shade on the page rather than a shout. Sometimes the resistance is a worry in itself. Place that too. Even the shape of not knowing can be offered once the worry rests in the imagined palm. Add a small phrase of thanksgiving. This is not a performance. It is a gentle tilt of the heart toward what is still good. Name one small thing that remains true. Perhaps it is the steady breath. Perhaps it is the fact of a roof. Perhaps it is the memory of a kind face. Say thanks for that thing. The pairing is practical. It reminds the heart that need and gift can rest together. Allow a breath long enough to feel something shift. The chest loosens a millimeter. The jaw unclenches. The mind finds a softer route around the worry. Nothing is erased. Nothing forced. A tiny exchange takes place. The worry moves from a clenched grip into an accepting hand. Imagine now the shepherd taking that stone. Picture fingers closing around it with care. The fingers do not drop it. They do not toss it aside. There is a moment of attentive holding. Then the hands move to tuck the stone into a pouch or a safe pocket near the heart. The worry is not abandoned to the wind. It is placed where it will be watched with tenderness. This image supports a confidence that does not demand immediate understanding. The heart can rest because the worry is not ignored. It is kept somewhere safe, where healing might work with time. The peace that follows is like cool water applied to a small burn. It soothes without erasing the mark. It allows the skin to begin its slow work of mend. If the mind resists imagery, use movement instead. Fold the fingers once. Let the hands open. Do this a few times with a slow, rhythmic motion. Each fold gathers a concern. Each opening releases it. The repetition is a small ritual that the nervous system knows how to follow. The body learns the pattern collect. Hand over. Breathe out. This pattern can be repeated with different concerns, returning always to the same calm rhythm. There is value in keeping the act simple. Prayer, in this frame, becomes an uncomplicated opening. It is a breathing with intention. It is a short sentence whispered in the mind. It is a quiet pointing toward trust. The content need not be crafted. A single sentence of handing over, and then gratitude, is enough. The exchange matters more than eloquence. Resist the urge to pile lists upon lists. One worry. One hand. One breath at a time holds more power than an anxious inventory. The mind becomes less of a frantic ledger and more of a patient registry. Things move from the front of awareness into a cared-for space. They do not vanish. They are moved into a safer place. When the mind grows noisy, bring attention back to the breath under the ribs. Notice the rise and fall. Track the beat. Each breath is a small act of trust. With each exhale, imagine the hand opening a little. With each inhale, imagine a quiet presence, receiving what is offered. The rhythm is important. It is slow. It is steady. If there are many worries that crowd the night, a small sorting helps. Think in categories rather than an endless list. Health concerns, work concerns, family concerns. Take one from each category, one at a time. The categories make the task manageable. They help the mind see pattern rather than chaos. At times, guilt creeps in and complicates the process. Guilt can sound like duty that must be completed before rest. Treat it gently. Place guilt into the same palms. Give it the same patient attention. After laying it down, add a single word of thanks for a place to sleep, for a moment of care received, for a small relief. Gratitude does not deny guilt. It shifts the balance. It makes the heart a room that holds both shadow and light. The peace that follows these small acts is not a loud emotion. It is a quiet presence that settles across the chest. It is like a soft band placed across a taut string. The tension does not vanish instantly. It relaxes a degree. The mind can trace a calmer edge. The body begins to let go in small increments. Describe that peace in a tangible way. Picture cool air moving through a sun-warmed room. Picture a blanket already folded near the bed. Picture a lamp dimming into a slow glow. These are images that meet the senses. They anchor the internal shift to something felt. Keep the shepherd image in view. See the hands, the pouch, the steady eyes. Let that presence be a companion for the night. When worry returns, imagine the hands ready to receive it again. There is no limit to this holding. The practice is repetitive and generous. It does not grow weary. It tends on through long hours. Invite the community into this practice. Know that others in the quiet are doing the same tender work. There is comfort in shared practice, even when no words are exchanged. Many palms handing many stones forms a soft chorus. The sense of not being alone strengthens the peace. For those whose minds prefer a tangible action, a small notebook helps. Write one worry on a scrap of paper. Fold it once. Place it under a cup or in a drawer. The action of folding shifts the worry outward. The drawer becomes the imagined pocket. The physical act gives the hands something to do. The body learns a new habit. If tears come while laying things down, allow them. Tears are a release that the body understands. They do not weaken the practice. They deepen it. Let the tears fall. Let them be part of the exchange. They can be thanked for their honesty. Then set aside, like the stones in the pouch. The instruction to bring requests with thanksgiving shapes, the tone. Gratitude does not have to be large. It can be a single small notice, the heat that keeps a room from freezing, a voice that laughed today, a neighbor who waved. These specks of grace pile up into a sturdier feeling. The heart begins to remember that care exists already, even amid need. Allow silence after each offering. The silence is a gentle witness. It is not empty. It cradles the small acts. In the quiet, the peace moves a little deeper. The mind learns that not every concern requires immediate answer. Patience can be a form of trust. Keep the breathing slow. Keep the movements small. Keep the images gentle and concrete. The purpose is rest. The practice is mercy in action. It teaches the body that handing over is an option, that help exists beyond the shoulders. When sleep nears, let the final offering be a simple laying down. Choose the last small worry. Place it in the imagined hand. Whisper a line of thanks for one small thing that remains sure. Breathe and feel the body accept rest. If the sleep does not come, remain with the peace and the image. Let the night hold you without pressing for change. I close this section by setting one small invitation. Return to the practice whenever night grows heavy. Use it as a pattern. Name one worry. Hand it over. Add a small thanks. Notice the peace that lingers. Let this be a habit of gentleness. When the time comes to move on, another passage waits. For now, keep the hands of the shepherd near. Let the exchanged burdens be tended. Let the breath slow. Let the heart rest in the company of compassionate care. Hold the image. When ready, allow the sleep that follows to be a continuation of this giving. The night is washed. The hands are steady. I sit with the lamp low and the Bible open in my lap. I am the one who reads these words to you before sleep. I read them slowly and gently, as if each sentence might be a balm. Tonight, I turn to the quiet promise that follows a simple act, the practice of naming what is wrong and letting it be met. The line I hold close is the ancient counsel that says, if I bring my faults into the light, they are not left to fester. I do not speak the line as a test. I offer its meaning like a warmed cloth. Forgiveness, in this care, feels practical. It does not land as a lecture. It arrives as relief. I remember sitting at a kitchen table late once, the house breathing around me, and recognizing a small, sharp regret that had been growing like a cold in the chest. I had turned it over in my mind so many times that its edges had become familiar. I could recite the whole pattern of what had gone wrong, and how the blame kept replaying. Saying it aloud would have felt like tearing a scab. Yet there was something else, a weariness that came from carrying the weight alone. I decide then to do a simple thing. I name the wrong quietly to the one who listens. The naming is a soft act. It is not a confession to a crowd. It is a private laying out of what is real. I do not make a show. I do not dress the fault in dramatic language. I let it be small and clear. In that single honesty something shifts. The chest eases. Not because the fault disappears, but because it no longer needs to be hoarded. The promise I read to you says that this act is met with a faithful response. The faithful response is not a bargaining. It is not a cold, legal transaction. It is a steady tending. The image that comes to mind is simple: a basin of warm water and a hand that moves the cloth. The hand does not flinch at the dirt. It brings the water. It wets the cloth. It wipes. The stain may leave a mark for a while, a faint line that remembers what happened. But the surface becomes clean enough to touch with peace. I describe this because I want the practice to feel accessible. Confession here is not an inventory of sins read like a manifest. It is a naming of what the heart knows is true and tiring. Pick one thing. not a least. One thread at a time. Hold it before the mind like a small stone. Say its simple name inside. The act of naming is an honest, contained movement. It draws the worry from the back of the mind into the light of an attentive heart. I place that stone in the imagined palm of the one who tends. The hand is patient. It does not drop the stone into the void. It receives and keeps it safe. This image matters because it meets the most common fear about confession, the fear of being punished or left alone with the mess. The hand that receives is not a ledger keeper who tallies every failure. It is a steady presence who understands the shape of weariness and the ways regret tends to knot the shoulders. Once the stone rests in that palm, the ritual that follows is gentle. I breathe. I let the shoulders unclench. I feel the stomach loosen a degree. I think of the hand lifting the stone and placing it into a small pouch near the heart. The pouch is not meant to hide what is wrong. It is a place of care. The stone will be tended, not tossed away. Healing has time to work because the worry is no longer being dragged like a sack in front of the feet. It helps to use tangible acts, for the body understands gestures in ways words sometimes cannot. Wash the hands slowly under running water. Imagine the water carrying away the grime. Fold a small piece of paper and write, if it comforts, a single word about what you regret. Place the paper in a drawer. The closing of the drawer is a small, decisive motion. For some, a quiet breath is enough. For others, a small, ritual action anchors the change in the nervous system. Do what feels like honest movement rather than a performance. Forgiveness, as I have come to know it in late hours, often arrives wrapped in a paradox. It is both balm and boundary. The balm soothes the sting. The boundary teaches anew how to walk. The forgiving presence is not a license to repeat harm. It is a patient teacher that helps the feet find a safer path. This gentleness does not excuse negligence. It offers steadiness so that growth can be gentle rather than frantic. There is also a tender clarity in the promise that accompanies confession. The promise speaks of being brought back into a clear state. In the image I keep, that state is like clean linen hung on a line. It flutters with the slight breeze. It still carries the memory of the stain under the fabric's delicate weave, but the cloth is clean enough to fold without shame. The heart, too, becomes something that can be folded and put to rest at night without the constant friction of the past. I notice, too, that the act of confession loosens the hold of shame. Shame wants to make the person into the act, to reduce a life to a mistake. Naming the wrong separates the deed from the self. The person remains whole. The wrong is a thing that happened. It does not become the sum of the person. In that distinction there is a small liberation. The shoulders drop. The eyes wet. The voice grows quieter because the fight subsides. Tears, when they come, are welcome. They are not an admission of weakness, but of honesty. They are the body's way of telling the held hurt that it is being seen. Let them fall. Let the face be cleansed a little. There is mercy in that moisture. There is a kind of physical proof that grief meets care, and that the meeting changes both. I keep my words spare, so that the practice remains simple at the bedside. The instruction is short, name one wrong. Place it in the imagined hand. Let a small act follow water. Folding, a drawer closed, and sit with the peace that comes. The peace is not an immediate erasure. It is a presence that settles like a cloth over a tired instrument. The string still exists, tuned but weary. The cloth protects while rest does its work. Sometimes the heart resists naming, because doing so feels like reliving. This is natural. Push nothing. Where naming aloud is too much, let a silence hold the truth. Sit with the fact of the wrong without embellishing. Picture the hand receiving it anyway. Trust that the small, quiet act counts even when the words do not come. The practice is patient with the pace of the heart. I find, in small personal moments, that gratitude pairs strangely well with confession. It seems odd to join the two, but they fit after I name the fault and imagine it taken. I look for one small thing to be thankful for. This is not an attempt to balance books. It is a recognition that life is layered, even amid real remorse. There is often a strand of grace. Naming it puts the regret into context. It says this is not all there is. It is a subtle reorientation that keeps the heart from collapsing under the weight of one story. Community matters quietly here. I know others sit with similar small stones. There is a comfort in shared practice even when no words are exchanged. Many palms meeting many burdens creates a kind of soft chorus. Knowing that others bring the same humble act of honesty makes it easier to do the same. We are not isolated in the midnight folding of regret. Each small confession joins a larger quiet. I read the Bible to you as a companion in these acts. I do not bring law to the bedside. I bring invitation. The pages I turn toward offer images and promises that steady the hands. They do not absolve hard work of mending. They offer a hand to hold while mending happens. That is what the promise of being forgiven feels like. In the night, a companionable hand. If shame tries to bargain, saying that forgiveness must be earned in full before rest is allowed, notice the argument and let it sit. Return to the simple act. Name one thing. Place it in the hand. Let the breath slow. The steady presence that forgives is not hurried by the urgent claims of shame. It keeps watch nonetheless. It is faithful in a way that the human mind often forgets. The practical steps can become a nightly habit. Before sleep, I sometimes take two small actions. The first is the naming and handing over. The second is a short pause of gratitude. The two together create a rhythm honesty. Receiving, and then noticing a goodness that persists. Overtime. That rhythm has a way of shifting the nervous system toward rest. The body learns that honesty is safe, and that mercy is not a myth. When rest comes, it feels less like an escape and more like a receiving. The sleep that arrives after confession is steadier. Dreams lose their jagged edges. The heart is less likely to startle at the middle of the night. This is not magic. It is slow work of being tended. It is the patient effect of many small acts of honesty partnered with faithful care. I end this section by offering one small invitation to keep before the light goes out. Choose one small fault. Name it quietly. Place it into that steady hand you imagine. Carry a tiny note of thanks for one small thing. Let the breath lengthen. let the shoulders drop. If sleep does not come, remain with that ease. Let the night hold you while the healing work continues. When you are ready, I will turn the page and read the next passage. For now, rest with the thought that confession here is an act of placing, not of exposure. Forgiveness is a faithful tending that keeps the heart safe. Let that be enough tonight. Let the hand that receives be steady beneath your small stones. I sit with the lamp low and the Bible open in my lap. I remind the room that this evening is a slow turning toward rest. I say the next theme aloud. Softly, grace as a gift. The Apostle's line is near the thought. He says salvation comes by grace through faith, not by what we have earned. I do not unfold doctrines. I simply hold the idea like a small lamp. Grace, in the quiet, feels like an offering set down without condition. Picture a wrapped present left on a doorstep. The latch is not tied to a list of achievements. The ribbon is loose. No receipt is attached. The only question is whether to accept it. The mind often turns to calculation. The heart wonders if it deserves the offering. Those worries are the mind doing its work. Tonight, I invite acceptance instead. Acceptance looks like a simple act. Place a hand on the chest. Feel the rise and fall of the breath. Imagine a small, warm cloak laid over the shoulders. It is soft and unearned. Let the weight be a comfort. Let the warmth remind the body that rest need not be conditional. This is not a test. It is a receiving. I ask the listeners to try a short, gentle exercise. Choose one short phrase to hold silently: grace, mercy, rest, or simply gift. Breathe in slowly. Let the word hitch briefly into the mind. Breathe out longer. Each inhale brings the image near. Each exhale lets a tightness fall away. Do this 3 times. Notice any small loosening in the jaw or the chest. The body hears practice. The nervous system answers softness more easily than argument. Grace is easiest to understand through story. I tell a small one, not to prove anything, but to steady the idea. Once, in a late kitchen light, I found an envelope slipped under the door. Inside was a note and a small check for a bill I could not meet. No name, no boost. The note was brief and encouragement. A reminder that someone had seen a need. The relief that followed was immediate and humble. The relief did not come from a sense of repayment, due later. It came from the simple fact that someone had chosen to meet a need without demand. That is grace in action. Encouragement often becomes the visible face of grace. A quiet word at the right time. A hand extended in a hallway. The decision to listen without fixing. These are small forms of delivering grace. They do not balance accounts. They create breathing space. If someone once steadied your steps with a phrase or a small kindness, imagine that moment as a tangible proof. Keep that memory near. Let it be evidence that such gifts exist and can be reprised in nights like this. Receiving grace can be difficult because the heart is suspicious of gifts. Unworthiness speaks loudly in the dark. It lists reasons to withhold acceptance. When that voice rises, do a small, tender thing. Name the voice in one word: shame. doubt, fear. Offer that word a seat, and then keep returning to the image of the cloak. Let the cloak be larger than the claim of unworthiness. It covers even the parts that keep saying no. Ootiem. The body begins to expect care that is not earned. There is a gentle permission here. Rest is not a reward for moral success. It is an invitation offered regardless. To accept is not laziness. It is an act of trust. The rhythm of life grows less frantic when acceptance is practiced. This is not a call to abandon responsibility. It is an encouragement to stop performing for peace. Let responsibility be present, but not the price of rest. I describe a bedside ritual that makes grace practical. Take a small slip of paper. On it, write one line that you need to hear tonight. Keep it short. Perhaps you are enough. You are forgiven. You are safe. Fold the paper once and place it beneath the hand. Pause. Breathe the line silently. Let it sit there like a pebble warmed in the sun. If closing the eyes helps, close them and imagine the words as light spreading from the heart. Hold this for a minute. This tiny act trains the hands to receive the gift and the mind to believe a friendly word. Encouragement also works as a habit between people. It is a soft leverage that tilts a weary mind toward hope. Consider a simple practice. Before sleep, send a single short message to someone who needs to feel seen. A one-line note that carries no demand, no corrections, no lists, just a brief kindness. The act is small. It is not a heavy obligation. It is an offering of grace through speech. The habit changes. The landscape people begin to expect small mercies. And those mercies become ordinary ways to carry one another through nights. There will be nights when grace feels like a foreign currency. The textures of old shame may make it hard to accept. When that happens, take the smallest possible step. Place one finger lightly on the heart and whisper a promise that you can keep. I will try to breathe. I will try to rest. The promise is to the self, and it is small enough to be plausible. Do not demand sweeping change. Expect only a tiny shift. Grace works in the tiny shifts. I often see grace reflected in the Bible as gift rather than as payment. The Apostle's phrase reminds the listener that human striving cannot force this gift into being. That image frees the night from ledger thinking. It keeps the focus on relationship rather than performance. Rest requires relationship. Rest thrives when the heart knows it is already invited. Encouragement is an instruction to the heart. It teaches how to receive. It also teaches how to give. When rest feels gentle because of reception, the impulse to pass it on follows naturally. A warm plate, a listening ear, an unhurried presence, these are forms of grace transmitted to others. The transfer is simple. It is not about solving every problem. It is about easing one small place. If the mind wants to measure the gift, offer instead a practice of gratitude that is brief and sensory. Name one small thing by sight, one by touch, and one by sound. A lamp's glow, the texture of a blanket, a distant night bird. Speak a soft word of thanks for each. Gratitude does not annul need. It tunes the heart to notice that gifts already exist within the life This noticing is a practice of receiving grace. In the community of listeners, this practice becomes tenderly contagious. Many people accepting small gifts of grace makes it easier for the lonely heart to lift its face. Shared practice does not expose weakness. It normalizes need. It makes acceptance ordinary. Many lamps in far windows create a horizon that keeps sleep from being an island. There are nights when accepting grace requires setting down an old posture. Pride often manifests as a clasped hand that will not open. The posture keeps the gifts at arm's length. Practice unclaspin. Make a small motion. The hand loosens a fraction. The fingers relax. The body answers. The motion teaches the nerves that opening is safe. It teaches the heart that gifts can come without shame. Grace also offers encouragement to the parts of life that feel stalled. It is not only about relief in a crisis. It is a sustaining kindness for the slow, daily work. Imagine a gardener who waters a long row of plants. The watering is quiet and regular. It is not a single dramatic rescue. It is a steady, ongoing act. Grace often looks like that, small attentions that continue even when nothing dramatic happens. If sleep feels far, let grace be a practice of noticing. Find a single breath and attend to it. Breathe in for a count that feels tender. Breathe out a little longer. Each breath is a gift of renewal. Each exhale releases something. Over time, the rhythm becomes a friend. The breath carries grace into the cells. Let it move slowly down into the belly. Let the body learn that receiving can be safe. I will not press deeper theology here. The aim is kindness for tonight. The pages I turn beside the lamp offer images and invitations, not debates. The promise I carry is simple grace, is given. It is not a prize awarded to the perfect. It is a hand extended to the weary. It is a gift to be accepted. That acceptance may feel awkward at first. That is expected. Take the smallest possible step toward it. Before I move on, I leave a closing practice. Place the folded slip with a single line of grace under the pillow, or keep it in the palm. Breathe the phrase 3 times. Let the quiet integrate the idea. Feel the shoulders soften a degree. Let the lamp circle be your witness. Accept the gift tonight. Allow rest to be a receiving rather than a reward. When it feels safe, I will turn the next page. For now, keep the image of the cloak and the lamp. Let the small practice of acceptance sit near the heart. Allow the mind to rest on the idea that mercy reaches without the need for payment. Hold that thought like a soft light, and let the night do the rest. I settle the book in my lap, and let the lamp keep a small circle of light. I say the verse in the quiet of my mind, rather than as a sermon. The ancient promise says that those who wait quietly find strength. Renewed, it says that the tired lift on wings, and that the weary are given a steady pace. I do not unload any heavy proof. I simply let the image rest on the table between the pages in the room. The night is kind to images. It holds them without pressing for explanation. I invite a simple picture. Now, picture a bird that rests on a high ledge. The wind is low and steady. The bird does not flap wildly. It waits. At the right breath of wind, it opens its wings and rises with very little effort. The motion is graceful. not frantic. It looks as if strength appeared the moment it was needed. That is the shape of this promise. I read these words slowly. Each sentence becomes a small step. I let the idea land. Softly, strength can be renewed. It comes in waves rather than in a single tall leap. The first breath of morning is often not the one that fixes everything. It is the second and third. The steady line of breaths that build the muscle of endurance. The body learns to trust the rhythm of patience. I invite a breathing practice to match the picture. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold 1 short beat. Breathe out for 6. The exhale is longer because release matters. Repeat this 3 times. Allow the chest to widen and the belly to ease. The breath is not a technique designed to conquer. It is more like tuning an instrument. The string becomes ready to sound without strain. Think of strength not as raw force, but as steadiness. Strength that comes from trust does not shout. It steadies the hands. It softens the jaw. It matches the pace of the heart. There is a confidence that acts kindly. It says, go on a little further, but do not rush. This kind of strength is patient. It knows time. I ask the body to notice small changes. Place a hand on the sternum. Feel the rise. Feel the fall. Imagine warmth gathering there, like sunlight gathering in a window. Let that warmth move into the shoulders. Let the shoulders drop a fraction. Let the back find the support of the chair or bed. The movement is minimal. Yet the nervous system hears such small shifts and answers with calm. Trust has a rhythm. It lets the mind rest, while the body does what it needs. In the quiet, imagine that breath lift turning into motion. Not a sprint. A slow, sure walk. Visualize feet that know the way. The muscles remember what to do. The mind is invited to follow the body without pulling it forward by will alone. This is not force. This is cooperation. I speak of waiting because waiting is often mistaken for inactivity. Waiting is active attention that holds. It is like standing in a field and feeling the wind change. The watcher notes the scent, the subtle tilt of light, the tiny shift in grass. That attention is what calls the moment of renewed strength. The heart that practices waiting learns how to receive energy when it comes. I place my palm over the sleeping breath of the room. The sound is a gentle tide. Let the ear follow it instead of racing ahead with plans. Let attention be curious about what steadies. If worry comes, watch it like a cloud drifting across that small sea of breath. Do not push the cloud. Let it move. The seeing is itself a kind of stamina. Strength also looks like endurance for the small tasks. It shows up as patience with the slow repair of ordinary things. A wound heals in stages. A friendship is mended in small conversations. A morning that feels heavy is met by another small movement. The next day, faith strengthens the capacity to keep going through these near silent acts. It does not always arrive as a sudden surge. Often, it arrives as the steady improvement that makes a task feel lighter, bit by bit. I remember nights I thought I could not rise again. The memory is not an argument about victory. It is a witness to a slow recovery. I did not leap into full strength at once. I noticed one small ability regained. I celebrated that smallness. The parade of small recoveries is a more faithful map of endurance than the idea of instant restoration. I invite a short visual exercise now. Picture a gentle wind under a wing. Imagine the wing small at first, then unfurling. It is not a grandiose scene. It is quiet and domestic. The wing lifts a little, and the heart answers with a soft electricity. The body accepts more breath. The feet move with less effort. The mind yields some of its tightness. Strength grows inside the frame of ease. Keep the image close to the chest. When tasks feel heavy tomorrow, return to it. Do not demand a miracle. Ask for a steadying of the hands. Ask for a softening in the throat. Ask simply to be able to take one more small step. The posture of asking like this trains the heart to expect help in usable measures rather than in dramatic moments only. Faith provides a particular kind of strength. It is communal and quiet. It is the knowledge that help often comes in ordinary ways. A neighbor bringing bread, a friend remembering a detail. The mind that knows it is not alone loosens its grip on panic. The body can let go more easily. In the night, this knowledge acts like insulation. It keeps the troublesome cold from biting as deep. I read a short phrase from the page and folded back into my lap. The words are simple. Lift will be given. Run without the old exhaustion. Walk without fainting. I do not dwell on doctrine. I let the phrases simply sit. They are prospects, not pressures. They invite patience and provide a language for small triumphs. There is a quiet courage in choosing to rise again. It is not the heroic kind. It is the kind that opens a pillow and smooths it, that closes a drawer gently, that answers a text with one clear sentence. These small acts are stitches. They are visible and practical. They show that strength is not only for mountaintops. It is for kitchen tables and nighttime corridors. I speak also about limits. Strength does not mean denying fatigue. It means honoring it and moving with it. Rest becomes a part of the plan instead of an afterthought. The person who knows how to wait also knows how to stop. This balance is a mature kind of endurance. It keeps life sustainable. To make this practical, try a small stacking of actions. Choose a single tiny task. Break it into 3 smaller moves. Do the first move now. Pause. Breathe. Let the second come when it is ready. A third will often follow. Many tiny completions create a sense of motion that the body recognizes as progress. The work becomes less of a mountain and more of a series of manageable steps. Faith provides patience for each step. When doubt whispers that the strength will not return, place the doubt in the palm and name it. Let the breath carry it to the imagined wind beneath the wing. Watch as it moves, not as an enemy, but as a part of the landscape that will shift. The act of naming is not powerful because of words. It is powerful because it separates the thought from the entirety of the self. A single worry becomes a passing guest rather than permanent tenant. In the community of those who listen, there is added steadiness. Many quiet hearts paying attention at the same hour make a surprising chorus. Strength is multiplied not only by what each person does alone, but by the shared practice of returning to rest together. Imagining others breathing the same way adds a layer of trust that the solitary heart sometimes lacks. I keep the cadence measured. The sentences are simple. The images are concrete. The aim is to provide a soft framework for the evening. Strength is available in small measures. It comes when the body cooperates with breath, and when the mind allows waiting to be an act, not a failure. These small patterns accumulate. Before I close this section, I offer a brief ritual. Place the hands lightly on the thighs or on the belly, if that feels more comforting. Breathe in, holding the image of wings opening. Breathe out, imagining a small tension leaving the body. Repeat this 5 times. On the 5th breath, notice any change in temperature under the palm. Notice any loosened muscle. Let the noticing be enough. I leave the lamp low. The book rests on my knee. The promise of renewed strength is not a command. It is an invitation tucked into the night. Take it in small increments. Accept the help that arrives quietly. Let the body learn to rise again in ways that are gentle and steady. When I turn the page, I will bring the next small offering. For now, keep the image of lifted wings near the heart. Let the breath teach the nervous system how to accept support. Hold the thought that strength can be renewed. Let the night work on the rest. The next passage will wait until the room feels ready. I sit with the Bible open and the lamp casting a small, steady pool of light. My voice keeps its soft rhythm. The room leans closer, as if it can hear better in the dark. Tonight I bring a single promise to hold. It is a quiet one. It speaks of peace that is not made by the mind, but given. The verse I keep near this thought says that a calm is left with us. It says the giver keeps no score. The calm is not the same as the world's idea of peace. It does not depend on everything being solved. Instead, it sits beneath the confusion. It steadies the pulse. It makes room in the chest for rest. I speak of peace as a presence. It is not an argument or an answer list. It is like a cool hand on a fevered forehead. It is not loud. It does not insist. It simply rests there until the heat goes down a little. The idea is to let that rest do its work without hurrying it. Imagine a small room. The day's noise sits at the door. There is a low stool and a window that opens to a sky that keeps changing. But slowly, in the middle of the room, a chair waits with a blanket folded over its arm. The blanket is simple. It is not ornate. It is only soft. The peace I speak of is that blanket. It meets the shoulders. It does not take away the ache entirely. It offers a place to be while healing moves in small increments. I ask for a gentle practice. Place a hand over the sternum. Feel the steady beat underneath. The hand is an instrument of attention. Let the palm notice whether the heartbeat is jagged or even. Breathe in slowly. Hold for a short beat that does not strain. Breathe out equally slow. With each exhale, imagine a single worry softening. If the mind pulls away, let it. Bring it back without scolding. The peace given is different from a promise that nothing will ever change. It is a promise that a presence stands with the change. It walks beside the trembling. It does not erase storms. It gives a quiet harbor in which to wait until the storm shifts. Picture a small boat held steady in a calm cove, even while waves rise beyond the inlet. The safety is not of being above the water. It is of being steadied inside a place that watches. There is comfort in names. The writer in John uses a name the listener may know. That name carries a voice that says, "Be not troubled." But tonight, I do not parade doctrine. I simply let the voice be like a familiar tune. The tune draws the heart back from anxious flights. It is easy to remember in the dark because it has few notes. If sleep resists, try a short visual exercise. Close the eyes if it feels safe. Picture a small pool of water. The surface is still as glass. A single leaf drifts slowly and then rests at the center. The leaf is not trying to fix the pool. It only wants to float. Let the breath match the pace of the leaf. Inhale. Exhale. Let the chest sink a little deeper with each out-breath. In time, the body follows the image towards stillness. I choose words that land like soft stones. Short sentences. Simple verbs. The idea is to speak for listening ears at night. This piece is offered as a present, not a test. To accept it is an act of receiving more than a performance of faith. It asks only that a hand open a fraction of an inch. There is a tenderness to this piece that feels practical. It meets fatigue first. When the body is spent, the mind sharpens its demands. The piece attends to the body's small need. It is a cooling cloth for a burning brow. It is not a judgment about how that heat came. It is a care that arrives in the most basic ways. Let the body receive help without having to explain why it is deserving. Sometimes peace comes as a change in breathing. Try this with me now. Inhale for 3 slow counts. Hold a split beat. Exhale for 5. Let the exhale be longer. Repeat twice more. The rhythm is not magic. It simply teaches the nervous system that the present is safe enough to slow down. The steady breath becomes an ally. The ally repeats a steady message. Ease is possible. I speak also of a peace that guards the mind. Thoughts are often loud in the dark. They replay scenes and imagine future horrors. The presence I describe does not banish these thoughts. It shelters them. It places them on a shelf where they are seen but no longer demanded. Imagine the mind as a room with a small, numbered shelf. Each worry sits on the shelf until it is tended. The keeper watches them without letting them crowd the floor of the heart. There is a practical mercy in the promise. It relieves the compulsion to solve everything before sleep. Solutions can wait until morning light. Tonight, the task is simpler. Allow a calm to settle. Let the chest find a softer rhythm. Let the hands unclench. Small physical changes matter. Lotion or yov. Drop a shoulder by a fraction. These tiny shifts add up to a different interior posture. Community changes the weight of isolation. Remember that listening now often means many others are listening too. A multitude of small lights in different rooms makes a horizon that steadies. Each person's breath is a quiet prayer for the next. If loneliness sits heavy, imagine other breaths in the night rising and falling with yours. The shared rhythm eases the sense of being alone with the dark. The peace promised to us is not a reward earned. It is a gift. Gifts require receiving. Practice the small act of receiving. Set a thought on the palm of your hand mentally. It might be a simple sentence. I need rest. Imagine placing the sentence into a hand that keeps it without measuring it. That image trains the heart that help exists without having to pay for it with perfection. If worry returns, greet it without a fight. Say the thought's name once or twice in a soft voice inside the skull. Then return to breath. The practice is not about crushing the thought. It is about moving it into a place that no longer drives the whole night. The mind learns through repetition that not every thought requires a response right now. I watch the small changes in the room. The lamp breathes low. The pages of the book rest. The breath in the listener's body shifts toward a wider arc. This is enough for now. The peace offered often acts like scaffolding. It does not reconstruct a whole life in a single night. It stabilizes one limb so that rest can be taken and working muscles can meditate. There will be nights when the noise is louder than any voice. On those nights, settle for the tiniest foothold. A single inhalation that reaches the belly counts. A single long exhale counts. The heart can learn from these small repetitions. The daily practice of returning to peace builds a gentle resilience. It is slow, steady, and humane. Forgiveness relates to this peace because an unsettled conscience often makes sleep thin. The presence that gives peace helps tidy the mind's table. It does not write off responsibility. It hands the aching parts into a care that tends slowly. Laying small regrets down in that care lets night feel more possible. That was the practice we traced in earlier sections. It pairs well with tonight's reflection, because unburdening helps the peace settle deeper. Keep an image to hold a low horizon line with a single lamp. The lamp is steady. Wind may pass, but the lamp remains lit. Peace is like that lamp. It keeps watch without demanding dramatic proof. When the chest tightens, bring the lamp nearer in the mind. Let its glow warm the ribs. Let the breath become the small flame's gentle pull. If sleep arrives, let the voice fall away. If it does not, remain with the calm and let it hold you. There is no failure in waiting longer. Patience is part of the gift. The peace given watches the waiting without hurry. Before I move on, try a short closing ritual. Place a hand over the heart. Breathe in quietly. Think one gentle word: peace. Rest. Calm. Or safe. Hold the word with the breath. Let the exhale be a small surrender. Repeat 3 times. Keep the hand there as long as it comforts. Notice the shoulders. Notice whether the jaw has softened. These small signs are indicators that the inner climate is changing. I will leave the image of the lamp by the window. Let it be a companion for the night. Keep the small breath pattern if it helps. Return to the practice whenever the mind grows loud. The promise of peace sits ready. It is an offered presence that does not demand perfect posture to be received. When the hour feels right, I will turn the page and offer the next passage. For now, rest with the thought that a quiet calm is given. Let it make room in the chest. Let it steady the breath. Allow the small, patient work of night to begin. The lamp waits. The calm stays. Sleep, when it comes, finds a softer bed. I sit with the Bible in my lap and the light kept low. I remind the room that I read these pages for you before sleep. Tonight, I turn to a simple, stubborn promise. It says love holds us through everything. It is not a conditional warmth. It does not come and go with circumstance. The promise says that nothing in the great sweep of life can finally separate the heart from that love. I name the idea plainly because words that matter grow small when repeated in the dark. The assurance is like an anchor, dropped deep. It digs into a place beneath worry and fear. The anchor does not slip at the first storm. It stays put. Picture that anchor under the water steady, heavy. Sure, the surface may toss and turn, but the line to the anchor keeps the boat from floating away. This image does not erase the waves. It only keeps the craft safe enough to ride them. If your night brings wild worry or a hollow ache, imagine the line. The line is not thin. It is a strong tether. It is tied to something that will not give. Let that picture sit in the mind like a small harbor drawing near. I invite a slow practice now. Place a hand on the sternum or over the heart if that helps. Breathe in. Let the breath be quiet. Breathe out longer. With each exhale, imagine the tether growing tighter, not as a tightening of fear, but as a reliable support. Think of the tether as a cord of love that holds through the things that frighten. Each breath makes the cord feel real in the chest. Love, in this promise, is not an idea about performance. It is a presence. It acts like shelter during a downpour. It does not ask for an accounting of how soaked the shoes are. It simply covers and warms. Think of a small porch over a doorway. Rain falls around it. But beneath that roof, there is dry air and steady wood. The shelter waits. It is not earned by keeping perfect steps. It exists for the one who comes to stand there. Fear will speak. Doubt will chew at the edges. Loss will say that the tether is frayed. When that happens, name the fear softly. Saying its shape out loud inside the mind gives it limit. It becomes a guest in the room, rather than the room itself. Then return to the image of the anchor, the tether, the porch. Let the shelter take the edge off. There is another picture that helps. Imagine roots under a large tree. Roots go deep. They wind around stones. They find water. They hold the tree through the harsh months. The love that is promised is like those roots. It goes down beneath what the eye sees. It continues even when the leaves fall, or when a wind tears at branches. The tree knows itself held, no matter the surface weather. This promise is not offered as a tidy answer to every question. It is a practical refuge. It meets small hands and tired feet. It arrives as steadiness rather than a solution. In the night, what is most needed is a dependable presence. The promised love is that it will not count mistakes. It will not tally failures. The posture toward us is mercy and belonging. Try a small visual exercise. Close the eyes if it feels safe. Picture a thin golden thread that starts at the breastbone. Follow it down into the ground. Watch it descend and wrap around the root of a strong tree. Or sink into a bedrock seam. The thread is unbroken. It stretches across nights, across rooms, across years. Nothing you can name will cut it. The image is quiet. It is an assurance you can touch inside the chest. If words rise that insist otherwise, loss, accusation, bitterness, speak them once. Do not try to argue them into silence. Let the thread remain beneath the words. The thread is patient. It does not need to shout to be true. It waits under and around the shouting until the voice grows tired. The tiredness is part of the process. It is not failure. There is comfort in small, firm practices. Place the fingertips gently at the collarbone and notice the slight movement with each breath. Let the breath be an acknowledgement I am held. The motion is simple. It grounds the thought in the body. When thinking traps the mind in circles, the body can provide a steady fact. The chest rises and falls. The tether remains. The two together form a safe rhythm. Love that cannot be separated from the heart is also a guard against isolation. When shame tries to insist that one is beyond care, the promise offers a contradiction. Shame narrows vision. It makes the room seem smaller and the door locked. The promised love widens the space again. It opens windows. It keeps the door ajar. It reminds that connection exists even when feeling alone. This love knows the particular names of sorrow. It is not a faceless force. It knows faces. It notices the small details, the way a hand trembles, the way sleep breaks at dawn, the little phrases that come back replayed. That attention is tender. It is not distant. It tends the places that ache. Imagine someone who knows the map of your grief and returns night after night to sit with it. The presence is steady. It does not force a timeline. It stays. I offer another small practice. Gather a single worry between two fingers in the mind. Hold it like a pebble. Tell the pebble its name in a short phrase. Place it on a small imagined shelf. Then picture the tether extending beneath the shelf and holding it safely. The worry remains noticed. It is not thrown away. It is kept somewhere cared for. That manner of tending makes rest easier to find. Grief and regret are tricky because they feel like proof against belonging. Let the promise meet that trick. The tether goes into the place that remembers. It reaches into the memory and says, even here, love remains. Nothing that separates in ordinary sense death. Distance. Failure has the final word on the connection. The connection holds through shifts the mind cannot immediately resolve. Do not confuse this with a rush to cheer. The room can be sad and still be held. The hand of love is not loud. It is patient. Let the sadness have space on the couch beside you. Offer it a cup of kindness, then rest next to it. The presence does not demand that the mood become bright. It only asks that the heart be seen and kept. There is comfort in community. If loneliness presses, imagine other rooms with other listeners. Picture many small tethers, many anchors, all tied into the same rooted ground. The image is not about erasing individuality. It is about acknowledging that others are connected too. Shared tending makes the promise less abstract. It becomes a network of refuge. Many hands lower. Many anchors drop. Many roots spread. In that shared presence, courage finds company. When worry insists on a plan, suggest small motions. Make no long lists. Choose a single, manageable task for the morning. Let it be tiny. The tether is not a call to ignore reality. It is a safe place from which to act. From this steadiness, the body can move with clearer steps. The mind will make better choices if it is not driven by panic. Resting in the promise helps the next small thing be manageable. There will be nights when the mind clings to questions it cannot answer. The tether does not need those questions to be solved. It simply holds until answers come. Trust the slow work. Time does not hurry the tether. It strengthens it. Small acts of patience build a lasting habit, a repeated turning toward the promise, a repeated placing of worries into a tended space. Keep a very small ritual for the bedside. Put the open palm over the heart. Think one word loved. Breathe in slowly. Let the chest feel the meaning of that word as a physical fact. Breathe out with an image of the tether resting. Repeat the cycle 3 times. Do not strain for emotion. Let the word sit as a truth to which the body can respond in its timing. If a thought emerges that nothing can change, watch it kindly. Place it on the shelf. Return to the tether. The practice is not denial. It is choosing where attention goes. Over team. Attention becomes training. The nervous system learns to return to the steady thing, rather than be pulled into every tempest. I read these words to you because listening has weight. The act of being heard softens the night. Know that others are listening too. In that company, this promise becomes a lantern swinging gently across many rooms. Keep the image of the tether, the anchor, the roots. However that feels most true, let it be an internal refuge. When rest comes, let the mind accept the hold. If sleep arrives, allow the tether to cradle the dreaming. If wakefulness remains, stay with the lightness that the image brings. The promise is not a final fix. It is a faithful presence that keeps returning. It offers mercy and hope without debate. It simply keeps watch. Before I move on, carry this simple invitation. Tonight, place one small worry into the imagined tether. Name it softly. Take 3 steady breaths. Feel a single unclenching. Keep the image near the heart as you drift. Let the tether do its work, while sleep does its own. When the hour feels right, I will turn the page and read the next passage. For now, rest in the thought that nothing in all things can finally sever the bond of love. Let that truth be a quiet refuge. Let it hold the night. I sit with the book open and the lamp very low. My voice is slow. I name the line that guides this moment. Be still and know. The words rest like a small bell. They do not demand proof. They simply invite a pause. Settle where you are. Make a small adjustment. If it helps, a pillow under the neck, hands folded loosely, feet softened. Let the body find a place that feels honest for this hour. The room breathes with you. The lamp keeps a gentle circle of light. Close the eyes if that feels safe. If closing them makes the mind rush, keep a soft gaze on a single dim point. The practice is gentle. No rigid posture is required. The heart need not perform. I speak of stillness as an act of listening. It is not a forced silence. It is a willing quiet. A repeated breath becomes the first instrument. Breathe in slowly and simply. Hold one small beat. Breathe out longer. Let the exhale be a quiet letting go. Repeat this pattern 3 times and allow the body to respond without hurry. Notice the places where contact meets support. The weight of the head on the pillow, the curve of the spine against the chair, the soles of the feet on the floor, aware of touch. The mind finds an anchor that is not a thought. The body's reality steadies the unsettled thinking. I paraphrase the ancient promise with a soft hand stop striving, and know that the one who is God is near. The phrase asks for an inner halt. It does not require understanding. It asks only that attention soften. In those brief softings, a different kind of hearing arrives. Imagine a distant northern star. It does not hurry. It keeps its place through long nights. Sailors use that star to find their way across storms. The star is not loud. It is steady. The unchanging light becomes a guide. Let that image rest above the mind tonight. A single steady point is enough to orient. Bring to mind now one small promise that feels life-giving. Perhaps it is the promise that you are seen. Perhaps it is the promise that mercy is patient. Perhaps it is the old assurance that presence holds through change. Choose one. Do not search for perfection. Choose the first one that breathes near. Hold that promise lightly. Picture it as a small stone, smooth and cool. It sits in the palm of the memory. Do not examine it like a judge. Let it be as it is. Remember a moment when that promise felt true. Even briefly, hold the memory without demanding more. The mind will wander. That is natural. When thoughts come, do not chase them. Name them briefly worry, plan, regret, and let them go. Picture each thought as a paper boat, floating down a gentle stream. Watch it drift past. Do not follow. Return to the breath and the small, steady stone in the hand of memory. There is comfort in thinking of promises as long rivers, rather than sudden flashes. A river cuts slow paths through land. It does not hurry. It keeps flowing. The promises spoken long ago continue in time. Like that water, they shape the banks by small persistence. Let the image of a slow river remind the mind that steadiness wins in the long hour. Place one hand over the heart now. Feel the pulse. Feel the warmth beneath the palm. Breathe with careful attention. On each inhalation, imagine the promise filling a small chamber inside the chest. On each exhalation, imagine a tightness leaving like a sigh. The rhythm is simple. The body understands rhythm more readily than arguments. If sleepless thoughts press in, make a very small list in the mind. One line only. Name the thought. Tell it, gently, that it can wait until morning. The habit of telling anxious things to wait trains the nervous system to accept a boundary between night and planning. Night becomes a place for receiving rather than resolving. I invite a short stillness now. Breathe in for 4. Hold one soft beat. Breathe out for 7. The longer exhale releases the muscles that have been holding. Feel the shoulders find their natural line. Let the jaw unclench a little. Watch the breath steady into a calmer arc. Think of the promises as tending a garden that takes seasons. The gardener does not force the growth. Water and light and patient pulling of a weed are the daily kindnesses. The harvest comes slowly. Promises work like that gardener. They do not guarantee immediate transformation. They accompany a steady tending that does its work over time. In the quiet, allow gratitude to begin small. Name one common mercy, the roof that kept the rain away today. A voice that spoke kindly. The way sunlight touched a cup. Gratitude is not a balance sheet. It is a small opening of the hand to receive what has already been given. Pair it with the stillness. Let the heart rest in that gentle exchange. If doubt rises and asks whether promises can be trusted, treat the doubt kindly. Ask it to sit for a moment. Offer a single testimony to mind a time when a difficult hour turned out not to be the end. Keep the testimony brief. Let it stand as a small proof. The heart remembers through small facts, not speeches. I keep the tone spare because the night favors simple notes. The phrase, "be still," is not a demand to stop feeling. It is a soft invitation to make space for what is steady beneath the surge. The invitation arrives as mercy rather than pressure. Receive it as such. Visualize now a low mountain line at dawn. The summit is not always visible in fog. The range remains even when hidden. Its presence is quiet but constant. Let the mountain image be a way to hold the idea that some things are bigger than the nightly storms. The mountain does not hurry to prove itself. It simply remains. If the breath becomes shallow or the stomach tightens, bring attention back to the feet on the floor or the weight of the body on the bed. Small sensations are available anchors for the mind that races. They bring the attention out of abstract worry and into what is present. Grounding is not avoidance. It is practical care. Reception matters in this quiet. To receive a promise is an act of surrender, not of weakness. Surrender here means lowering the tense muscles that attempt to manage everything. It means choosing trust for a moment. Try a small practice. Whisper the thought in the mind. Be still, and then answer the thought with one steady word, enough. Repeat this pairing once more. Let the sound be a small hinge that opens the door to rest. If anger or grief sits heavy, do not try to force them away. Allow them to have a place on an internal bench. Attend to them with a kind impartiality. Watch the feeling without feeding it. The act of seeing pain with softened attention often reduces its heat. Mercy enters not by denial, but by patient witnessing. Remember that promises are often kept in ordinary sequences, not in dramatic proofs. A friend's small kindness. A day that passes without catastrophe. A repeated habit of returning to prayer or breathing. These are the quiet ways that promises make themselves known. Look for those small signals tonight instead of demanding a grand sign. Community makes this stillness thicker. Others, listening in rooms far away, are doing the same small act. Imagine a string of low breaths across many houses. The shared rhythm multiplies the calm. If loneliness whispers that this practice is solitary, hold the image of the many breathing chorus. There is company in shared quiet. Do not rush to fix everything before sleep. The night's work is not problem-solving. It is receiving. It is trusting a truth that outlives immediate trouble, practice that trusts like a muscle. One night of received calm does not complete the work. Many nights of returning to the same promise shape the habit of rest. If tears come, let them. They clean the edges of heavy things and make room for softer feelings. Tears are part of the body's language of release. Welcome them as physiological kindness. They do not mean failure. They mean the heart is honest. When thoughts intrude that demand action, write a tiny note in the mind for morning. Keep it short. Give it a line. Then close the file in the imagination. This act respects responsibility while also honoring the boundary of night. Morning will contain clearer heads. Rest now allows better action later. As the breathing steadies, notice the quiet that gathers like a thin cloth. It is not a dramatic silence. It is a fabric that warms the chest. Let the cloth sit there. The longer it rests, the more the muscles unlearn the old alarms. I place a brief pause here to let the room breathe. In that pause, do nothing but be. No planning, no rehearsing. Just presence. If sleep arrives, that is a gift. If it does not, remain with the small calm that the practice creates. Before I move on, practice one final breath together. Breathe in 4 counts. Hold a short beat. Breathe out for 8. On the long exhale, imagine the promise of presence spreading like quiet light under the ribs. Let the light be steady rather than bright. Let it be enough. When the breath returns to its own natural rhythm, feel the hand over the heart. Notice whether the pulse has changed. Notice any small easing in the chest. These are not proofs of miracle. They are practical signs that the nervous system is learning a different response. Keep the northern star and the low mountain as companions. Carry the slow river image back into the waking day if needed. These images are simple tools, not arguments. They help the heart remember what is true beyond tonight's concerns. I will turn the page when you are ready. For now, keep this stillness. Let the promise stay near. Allow the evening to do its slow work. The quiet is present. The promise remains. Rest with that. And when sleep comes, let it be a receiving. I sit with a book in my lap and keep the lamp low. The night leans in. My voice remains soft. I say a line from the old counsel in my own words, rejoice often. Keep a steady prayer in the heart, and give thanks in everything that can be given thanks for. I do not debate. I only offer the practice as a small path toward quiet joy. The idea is simple. Joy can be a small thing. Gratitude is a habit that trains the heart to notice. Neither erases pain. Both teach the body to receive light while the shadows are still present. Tonight, I ask for a small experiment. It will not take long. It asks only that attention slow and that the eyes of memory return to tiny mercies. Begin by settling the body. Shift a shoulder by a fraction. Let the jaw soften. Place one hand over the chest, if that helps. Feel the breath. Let that simple pulse be a bass note. From here, we move gently into memory. Call to mind 3 small things that happened today, not the big items. not the dramatic events. Choose a smallness. A cup of warm tea, the tilt of light across a table, a single moment of silence on the walk. One sentence from a friend that landed kindly, a bird that visited a window, a single flaw mended by an apology, or a small laugh that broke at the wrong moment and made you breathe. Do not search for heroic reasons to be glad. Look for what is ordinary and small. Memory tends to inflate or bury. The practice is to rescue one small moment from the day and hold it as if it were a smooth stone. Pick the first 3 things your mind offers. They will be enough. Now give each one a short posture of attention. For the first, breathe in and picture the moment as a clear image. See the colors, hear the sound, taste the warmth. Let the senses gather detail. Let the memory be not only a thought but a felt thing. Breathe out and say a silent word of thanks. Keep the word short. Thank. Hold. Receive. Move to the second. Notice a different sense. If the first was sight, let this one be taste or touch. Hold it in the palm of the mind. Breathe and feel the chest soften. The face loosens a degree. The ribs widen like a small door opening to air. Speak another short thanks in the heart. For the third, choose a kindness or a small joy that touched another person as well as you. Perhaps a brief message that arrived without demand. Perhaps a quiet meal shared. Picture the other person's hands or the shape of their face as it smiled. Let the gratitude enlarge from you to include them. Breathe in, breathe out. Let a small warmth spread across the shoulders. If the day resists offering 3 things, accept that 2. Begin with 1. Hold it long. The practice is patient with days that are thin. One small blessing can be enough to change the direction of the night. I remind the listener that gratitude is not a denial of sorrow. The heart can hold both. Think of a tray with 2 cups on it. One cup is the grief you carry. The other is a small cup of thankful noticing. Placing both on the tray does not mock the pain. It only gives the mind a more balanced posture. The tray holds both without dropping either. Try a tactile anchoring now. Fold the fingers loosely. Imagine placing each small blessing like a pebble into the cupped hand. See how the stones fit. Some are smooth. Some have edges. None are heavy enough to overwhelm. Hold the hand open and feel the weight of the small gifts. Let that weight be a comfort rather than a burden. If the hands are not an anchor for you, use the breath instead. With each inhalation, draw the memory closer. With each exhalation, imagine sealing it gently into the body. Let the act of breathing become a way of keeping the small joys near. The breath will repeat this act more reliably than memory can. The lungs become a quiet archive. There is a surprising medicine in saying thanks out loud to oneself. If it feels safe, whisper a single line for each small blessing. Keep the sentence short. Speak it like a small bell. Do not aim for eloquence. Let the phrase be plain, thank you for the cup. Thank you for the quiet. Thank you for the hand that reached. The voice is a new instrument. It makes abstract good into a concrete thing the ear can hear. If tears come while holding these tiny joys, let them fall. Joy and relief often arrive with moisture. The body uses tears to translate inner softening into the language of the skin. This is not failure. It is release. Let the moisture be an honest marker that something inside is shifting. I invite a slight widening of perspective now. Think of 3 ordinary mercies that do not require gratitude to exist, but which feel like gifts when noticed. A roof that kept rain away. A lamp that burned a whole afternoon. A small appetite that returned. These are not dramatic rescues. They are the quiet fabrics of life. Name them. Let a tender thankfulness settle over them. If guilt rises and insists that joy is indecent while pain exists, meet that voice with patience. Place the guilt on the tray beside the other cups. Speak one small sentence to the guilt. I see you. Then return to one small gratitude. The point is not to silence every protest. It is to choose where attention sits in the moment. The muscles that practice gratitude learn a healthier pattern over time. Gratitude also opens a door to joy. Joy is not always a burst. Often, it is the slow unfolding that follows noticing. The small sparks we name tonight will feed a warmth that grows through the hours. Let that warmth visit the shoulders. Let it loosen the throat. Let it translate into a small smile that feels authentic and slight. I offer a gentle practice for the bedside shelf. Take a slip of paper and write one small line about tonight's 3 blessings. Fold it once. Place it under the pillow or beside the book. This is not a to-do list. It is a bookmark of mercy. In the morning, the paper will be a small touchstone. The memory of gratitude can be fragile. The folded note acts like a stitched seam that holds it through sleep. There is power in repetition. The Apostolic Counsel that I paraphrase invites rejoicing often, steady prayer, and thanks. Rejoicing need not be grand. It can be a small recognition that life has tender edges. Prayer without ceasing can look like a steady line of short inward words. Gratitude becomes a nightly practice because it trains attention to find the small proofs of care. We keep the practice communal as well. If you wish, send one short message tomorrow to someone who shared a small kindness. Tell them only that you noticed. No demands, no lectures. A single line of recognition passes the warmth on. Simple acknowledgements multiply joy. They do not solve great problems. They make the day a little lighter for 2 people rather than 1. I also offer a brief sensory exercise to end this part. Close the eyes if that feels safe. Picture the 3 chosen blessings in a single line. Let their small lights blink one after the other. Hear the soft sound of each memory as a note. Breathe in as the first note sounds. Hold a small beat. Breathe out as the second note continues. On the next inhale, imagine the third note as a gentle chime. Let the 3 notes form a tiny chorus that rests in the chest. After the chorus, place the hand over the heart. Feel the heat beneath the palm. Let the warmth be the body's translation of gratitude. Hold for a slow count. Release the hand. Rest the breath in the natural rhythm that follows. The practice does not demand more than this. It only asks for a return to noticing. Gratitude can be a gentle discipline. Practice it nightly. Not as a duty, but as a small kindness to your own heart. If nights come that feel blank or hard. Lower the bar. Name one smell, one sound, or one touch. Keep the practice small enough to be possible. The long habit of steady noticing shapes the nervous system toward received joy rather than constant striving. I remind the listener that joy is a companion to sorrow, not its enemy. The small mercies named tonight do not pretend to weigh large losses. They make space for those losses to exist without emptying the whole room. The heart that keeps both sorrow and gratitude becomes more resilient. It learns how to carry what is heavy alongside what is light. Before I turn to the next passage, take one last breath with me. Breathe in and gather all 3 small blessings at once. Hold them like a small cloth. Breathe out and feel a subtle ease. Let the body accept that ease without explanation. Keep the folded paper near if it comforts. Keep the memory like a lantern by the bedside. I will close this section now with a calm invitation. Carry tonight's small gratitude into the first minutes of sleep. Let it sit beneath the dreams as a steady ember. If wakefulness arrives, return to one of the small images and breathe. The practice is patient. It waits for the heart's pace. When the hour feels right, I will turn the page and read the next quiet passage. For now, rest with this small chorus of thanks. Let joy live in the room without demanding that sorrow leave. Let the night receive both. Let the lamps in other windows do the same. I sit with the book closed for a moment and let the quiet gather. I tell the room the line I am holding tonight. It comes from Jeremiah 2:9-11. A simple promise about plans that are kind toward the future. I do not lecture. I only offer the thought as a small, steady lantern to carry into sleep. I remind the listener that I read the Bible to you before rest. I do this because Scripture often speaks in images that calm. Tonight, the image is a map. The map is not a demand for perfect navigation. It is a hand-drawn sheet with paths, landmarks, and a few blank places. The promise says someone who cares knows the route. That knowing is a comfort, not a pressure. Settle where you are. Allow the body to make a small change if it helps. Shift a shoulder. Smooth a knee. Let the hands rest where they feel safe. Place a palm lightly over the sternum if that brings reassurance. Feel the slow beat beneath the palm. Let that be a measure for the pace of what follows. Think of a map on a wooden table. The edges are soft from years of folding. The ink marks a long road. There are written notes at a few bends. Rest here. Take care here. Watch for rough ground. The script is not full of commands. It is full of kindnesses. Imagine someone you trust, kneeling with you and pointing to a bend and saying, "This way has been tended." The voice is steady. The hand is familiar. I keep the sentences short so the ear can take them in. Trusting a plan is not the same as abandoning responsibility. It looks more like handing the list of small worries to a companion who carries things gently. The companion does not erase responsibility. The companion steadies the steps. That steadiness makes sleep possible. If worry about the future rises, name it once. Give it a small, clear name in your mind. Work, health, relationship, finances. Pick just one to hold for the moment. The brain often likes to scatter into many things. Choosing one makes the mind less like a storm and more like a focused lamp. I offer a small practice. Fold an imaginary scrap of paper. On it, write a single worry as a word. If the hand imagines holding a pencil, let that be enough. The act of putting a worry onto paper makes it less sharp. It moves the thought from the head to an object, and the body recognizes an object can be held and set down. Now imagine placing that scrap into a coat pocket that belongs to the one who plans. The pocket is warm. It is lined with patient fabric. Lay the paper there without argument. The act is not magical. It is a movement of trust that trains the hands. Breathe out and feel a small release. The shoulders drop a fraction. The breath lengthens. I am careful not to promise a life without trouble. The map still has rough places. The promise is about an orientation toward hope. It carries the thought that the future is not a free fall into chaos. Even when a road bends into fog, there is a plan with care woven into it. That thought steadies the spine enough for a deeper breath. I remember a night when plans unraveled. The house smelled of coffee that had gone cold. A list lay undone on the kitchen counter. The mind rehearsed failure like a song. I took one small action. I wrote a single sentence on a piece of paper, one next step, and folded it into my pocket. I did not fix everything. I did not need to. The small act of naming the next step was calming. It taught the body that a measured plan could be trusted in pieces. Trust grows in small measures. It is like a gardener who plants one seed at a time. The gardener does not rush the soil. The morning light and the water and the patient tending do their work slowly. The seed does not sprout on command. It surprises with its own timing. The gardener learns to trust the ground. That trust is practical. It allows rest between plantings. Try a brief breath practice with the gardening image. Breathe in and imagine sinking a seed into soft soil. Hold a short beat. Breathe out and picture the soil covering it with care. Repeat twice more. The repeated small action trains the nervous system to accept the possibility that growth is gradual and that someone tends the plot. Plans in life often look like a traveler's satchel, filled with things the traveler thinks necessary. The satchel is heavy from attempts to control every mile. Trust lightly loosens the straps. It does not empty the bag. It removes a rock or two, so the shoulders can relax. The traveler is still on the road. The step becomes easier. I encourage keeping a single small list for tomorrow, not a long inventory. 3 tiny tasks. The brain finds comfort in small clarity. The list anchors action without demanding a full map of the next year. In the morning, the list is a modest beginning. It is a way to meet the plan in small, practicable movements. There will be nights when the mind asks for evidence. Proof feels reasonable. Provide a small proof to yourself. Remember one time when a small plan worked out in a way you had not expected. It might be as slight as a kind word arriving at the right time, a missed bus that led to a helpful conversation, or a repair that came when you needed it. Let that memory be a tangible sample of trust. I use images rather than arguments, because images settle the body. Think of a potter at a wheel. The clay does not form on the first touch. The potter turns the wheel with a patient hand. A curve appears from repeated, careful pressure. The future forms a little like that, by steady, shaping attention. Someone skilled and patient shapes without violence. That image sits kindly in the mind. If guilt or doubt says that trust is lazy, greet the thought kindly and return to the map. Trust does not remove discernment. It changes the posture toward the unknown. Instead of trying to force a single path, allow for a few marked turnings where wisdom and time will reveal the next step. The posture is active, waiting rather than frantic control. When worry pushes for constant planning, practice a small boundary. Choose a short time in the evening to make one reasonable plan. Close the notebook afterward. That small boundary is a kindness to the nervous system. It teaches the mind that planning can be contained. The rest of the night is spared from endless lists. Community helps here. Many are learning the practice of trusting a plan larger than their own. Imagine others at distant tables folding their scraps of paper into the same pocket. The image makes trust communal rather than solitary. Shared practice multiplies courage. It places the heart in a network of patient hands. Sometimes trust looks like patience with time. Time is not an enemy, but a slow healer. A wound may take many sleeps to become less raw. Trusting a plan does not demand immediate resolution. It says the arc is longer than the moment, and that there is a steady hand tending the story while the night does its quiet work. Because I read the Bible before sleep. I keep the tone humble and practical. The verse in question speaks of plans for a hopeful future. I do not polish it into theory. I treat it like a bedside witness. Let its words be a small bench to sit on. When the night seems long, sit there for a few breaths. Let the bench hold you. If control feels like the only safe posture, be gentle with that fear. Control is a searing energy. It can be the mind's way of trying to protect. Let it have a seat by the window. Observe its movements. Offer it one small exchange, a folded piece of paper, a breath, a name. The exchange does not abandon prudence. It simply shares the labor. I offer a short ritual to close this part. Take a single worry that flickers at the edge of sleep. Breathe in. Name it in a single word. And breathe out. Imagining placing that name into the pocket of the map holder. Let the pocket be warm and steady. Repeat this 3 times. Each repetition is small training for the heart. Before sleep, keep a single, hopeful sentence in mind. It does not have to be extravagant. Something like there is care for the road ahead. Repeat it slowly as you lie down. Let the sentence be a soft lamp near the face. Let it be more a comfort than an argument. If tears come, let them come. They are part of the body's language for releasing the weight of trying to do everything alone. If sleep does not arrive immediately, remain with the image of the map and the soft pocket. Rest in the idea that someone's plan includes care and a future that bears hope. I close this section with a gentle promise. I will keep the book near and return when it feels right. The map will not be taken away. The pocket will stay warm. The single sentence of hope can be your steady phrase tonight. Breathe slowly. Lay the small worry down. Let the weight of trust be practiced in tiny movements. When you are ready, I will turn the page to the next passage. For now, rest with the thought that the future is not a blank abyss. It is a planned path with kind notes at its bends. Let that idea be enough to steady the breath and soften the shoulders. The night watches with you. The plan keeps a hopeful thread through the dark. I keep the lamp low and the book warm in my hands. The room gathers its own soft hush. I tell you tonight about watching. I bring to the bedside a promise that says someone watches when we cannot. The verse shapes the thought. Without needing to be quoted, it says the guard does not sleep. It says the one who keeps the feet from slipping is awake when the world rests. I do not make a sermon of it. I pass along a quiet assurance. The idea lands like a small stone on calm water, and the ripples slow. That is the posture I give you now. Imagine a sentry walking a gentle path around a house. The footsteps are careful and steady. They do not hurry. They do not startle the sleeping rooms. The sentry's lamp is low, its hand sure. It notices small things. A loosed till, a broken latch. The watch notices and repairs before worry rises. Let the picture rest in the mind. It is practical. It is specific. It is tender. Protection is not a harsh wall. It is a steady presence that keeps watch. Think of a willow with roots sunk deep and branches that sweep low. Under its boughs there is a little hush. Wind may pass. Branches may move. The ground underfoot stays more even because roots have done their slow work. The image is not about erasing storms. It is about being held while storms pass. I invite a small, restful exercise to match the picture. Place one hand lightly on the chest. Feel the beat there. Breathe in slowly. Count as if you are moving step by step along a garden path. Hold for a breath. Breathe out a little longer. With each out-breath, imagine the sentry's lamp, making a soft circle of light. The circle grows wider by a finger's breadth. Let that light travel down to the soles of the feet and up into the crown of the head. The body can feel the presence without needing a line of argument. Sensation and imagination meet, and the nervous system hears the story as true. Protection watches over small things as well as large ones. It keeps the foot from slipping on an unseen stone. It steadies the hand while reaching in the dark. It touches the brow when fever rises. It attends to margins. The promises that speak of guarding are practical. They do not promise to clear every problem at once. They promise care for the fragile places. That promise is what I offer. Now care for the small, vital things. When fear rises in the dark, it often takes the shape of imagining being alone at an exposed edge. Name that fear quietly to yourself. Give it one small word. Offer the word to the mental guard at the threshold. Imagine the sentry picking it up and placing it in a safe box with a soft lining. The box is labeled "Watched." The labeling is not about shame. It is about order. The mind likes order. The body relaxes when things are not scattered. There is a different image that some find steadier. Picture a quiet watchtower on a shore. From the tower eyes sweep the horizon slowly and systematically. The watchers bend their heads not to seek alarms, but to notice regular patterns tide. Wind. The small movements of life. If a light winks at sea, the watch knows how to respond. The presence at the tower is intentional, not anxious. It is practiced in patience. Protection also comes with a gentle boundary. Imagine a soft hedge planted around a bed. The hedge is porous. It lets in the rain and the cool air. It keeps away the worst of the wind and the rough things that bite. Protection does not remove freedom. It provides lines that keep wandering from becoming danger. It is an attentive fencing that still allows the house to breathe. For tonight's bedside act, try a mindful imagining that involves the senses. Feel the blanket over your shoulders. Listen for the rhythm of the breath. Smell the air as it cools. Picture small, watchful lights placed at each corner of the room. They are not glaring. They are gentle bulbs that hum with the sound of attention. Imagine them turning slowly, like slow fans, each sweep passing over a patch of floor, a curtain, a pillow. With each sweep, think the word watched in your head. Let the repetition be a lullaby. Not all protection feels safe at first. Some minds think of surveillance and feel exposed. This watch is not surveillance. It is care. It keeps no record to shame. The watchers are not judges tallying failures. They keep vigil so the weary can sleep. So much of the night is about letting go of the need to hold everything. That letting is the practice. Let protection be the space where letting goes well. If an image of guardians feels too metaphoric, use a simple tactile ritual. Tap the mattress once with your fingertips near the edge. Say nothing aloud. In the silence, imagine the tapping being answered by a steady pressure under the mattress, a pressure that is not heavy, but reassuring. That imagined pressure is the sense of someone steady beneath the space where you lie. Let the body interpret the pressure as permission to relax. Guarding also extends to dreams. Sleep can be porous and strange. Some nights, dreams replay the day's fears with extra loudness. The sense of watchfulness means there is a keeper for the night's inner theater. Imagine the keeper sweeping a lantern across the dream stage. Symbols shift. Scenes do not have free rein to become tyrants. The keeper keeps the doors closed to what would harm. The mind is not stripped of expression. It is held with kind attentiveness. If sleep is difficult, practice a brief counting meditation paired with the imagery. Breathe in for 4 counts. Breathe out for 6. On each out-breath, imagine the lamp's circle widening. On the 3rd repetition, picture the watchers settling into the corners like slow birds perching. Their presence is not loud. It is steady. Their weight is small. It is enough. Protection is also communal. You are not the only one who needs to be watched. Others in distant rooms share the same need. Imagine many small lights in many windows. Each light keeps a single room steady. Together they make a horizon that speaks of company. If loneliness presses, remember that the same promise that watches you watches 1,000 others. There is a shared quiet that eases the sense of being alone. It helps to practice a small bedtime verb. Make a tiny motion with a hand, as if closing a small, soft book. The motion is deliberate and respectful. Imagine closing a particular worry into that book and tucking it under a shelf where the watch keeps things safe. The gesture trains the hands. The body interprets the movement as an end to carrying. Over time, the hand learns to do the motion without much thinking. Rituals matter, because the body remembers what words sometimes cannot. I ask you to notice the difference between being guarded and being smothered. True watchfulness frees rather than restricts. It creates a space where breathing deepens. When breath deepens, the heart learns a new tempo. The nervous system finds a regular beat. That regular beat allows sleep to come in quieter waves. If memory brings pain, the guard trusts memory without letting it command the night. Picture a pocket stitched into the lining of the world. Place the memory there. The pocket keeps it near, but not on the chest. The act of picturing such a pocket is not avoidance. It is a way to order thought so rest can happen. Order lightens the burden. Some of you prefer tangible acts. If so, fold a small piece of paper and write a single word that names tonight's worry. Put the paper under your pillow or a bedside object. Do not expect overnight answers. Expect a small permission to rest. The simple doing makes thought less vague and untouchable. It gives the mind a handle. Protection does not promise a life without difficulty. It promises a faithful tending through difficulty. Imagine someone walking a long road with you. Steps are shared. Packs are redistributed. The road still has stones. But there is rhythm. The rhythm makes the journey bearable night by night. Let that image ease the expectation of having to go it alone. If fear returns after a while, greet it gently. Name it. Offer it once more to the mental guard. Do the small motion of closing the tiny book again. The repetition forms a habit. Habits teach the nervous system new paths. They replace frantic routes with calm ones. I read the Bible to you at night because the pages hold these images as steady companions. The text is not a list of rules for sleep. It is a set of pictures that tend the heart. Take tonight's image of watchfulness and make it yours in the small ways that suit your body. A palm on the chest, a slow breath, a closed hand that places a single worry away, a quiet imagination of lamps at the room's corners. As I ease the lamp lower, try this one last practice. Breathe in slowly, count 4, hold a gentle beat, exhale for 6, and picture the lamp's circle widening to include the whole bed. Breathe again, and imagine the watchers tilting their heads toward the sleep-pouting room with kind attentiveness. On the third exhale, rest your hand over your heart, and notice whether the pulse has calmed by a small measure. If sleep arrives, that is a good gift. If wakefulness remains, keep the image and breathe. Do not judge the length of the night. The guard does not tire. The watch continues. Rest can be partial and still true. Let the picture of watchful care be a steady companion. Let it make room inside the chest for mercy and for a slower pace. When it feels right, I will turn the page and read on. For now, keep the lamp of protection in mind. Let the sentry's steps circle gently round your house. Let the tether of care hold without strain. Sleep, when it comes, will find you not alone, but guarded. The watch is kept, the night is tended. Let that be enough. I keep the lamp low and the Bible open. The pages breathe in the same slow pulse as the room. I read to you before sleep. My voice is soft. The hour is gentle. Tonight I hold an invitation. It is simple and plain. Come with what wears you down. Leave what breaks you. The words are not a test. They are a hand reached out across a small gulf of tiredness. Imagine a heavy pack on the back. The straps dig into the shoulders. Each step leaves an ache. The road feels long, and the feet grow sore. Now, imagine another pair of hands slipping a strap from your shoulder and taking hold of the same load. The weight changes. It does not vanish. It becomes part of two arms, two steady steps. That is the picture I carry. It is not an elaborate doctrine. It is an immediate, bodily truth. Burdens become lighter when shared. The neck unclenches a fraction. The chest finds a softer rhythm. The world does not always change at once. The body changes first. I name a short practice to go with that picture. Sit or lie where the body feels safest. Close the eyes, only if that helps. Rest a palm on the sternum or the belly. Breathe slowly. Inhale for 4. Hold for a small beat. Exhale for 6. Let the out-breath be a small letting go. Repeat 3 times. As breathing deepens, imagine stepping into a dim corridor. The corridor is lined with lamps set at steady intervals. Each lamp gives a small, assured light. Keep walking until you reach an open door. Through the doorway stands a figure whose presence does not overwhelm. The figure's face is kind. The hands are empty and ready. Do not rush the image. Move slowly. If fear arises at the edge, name it inside with one quiet word. Place that word in the other hand, as if offering it. The hands that receive do not judge. They only hold. Now bring to the doorway one small burden, not all of them at once. Choose a single stone and hold it in both hands. Feel its texture. Notice its weight. Name it in the mind worry about tomorrow. A sharp exchange earlier in the day. The ache that wakes at midnight. Keep the naming brief. The breath holds the word like a small bell. Offer the stone to the hands waiting at the doorway. Watch the exchange like a slow film. The other hands close around the stone. They do not toss it away. They arrange it gently. The weight in the body changes a finger's breadth. Muscles that were rigid begin to soften. The shoulders drop a fraction. The chest widens. This exchange does not mean the problem evaporates. It means the load has a companion. There is assistance for the night. The body responds to that assistance long before the mind can accept it. Trust the small change. Follow the breath's new steadiness. Sometimes the burden feels too heavy to name. In that case, imagine sliding the stone across a low table instead. The motion is small. It is enough. The act of moving it from the chest to the table alters the nervous system. The body reads the movement as permission to rest. If images are hard, use a minor action instead. Fold a tiny scrap of paper. Write one word on it. Place the paper beneath a pillow or slide it under a book. The simple doing gives the hands something to finish. The mind learns a new ritual. The body learns that unloading can be practical. I offer another gentle exercise for deeper nights. Breathe in and think of 7 small lights. Picture them arranged in an arc near the heart. Breathe out and imagine handing one light to the waiting hands. Feel a small lift. Each round takes one light. When the last light rests in the other hands, sense a thin space open between ribs. The space is not empty. It is an ease. There are nights when sharing feels like defeat. Bride raises a quiet protest. It says, carry it alone. Do not ask. Meet that voice kindly. Call it by name. Then hand it to the waiting hands as well. Even the resistance can be offered. The hands are broad enough to hold it. Mercy in this invitation moves along practical lines. It meets the body first. A warm hand on the shoulder. A steady presence beside the bed. A willingness to walk a short path together. These gestures do more than correct ideas. They change posture, tone, and breath. The small things do most of the work. I think of a night not long ago. A storm came, and the house shivered. Sleep would not come. Thoughts replayed like a broken record. I did a simple thing. I spoke the list of small worries aloud into the quiet. I did not beg. I simply named them. The act of saying them into the room moved them from a closed fist into the air. Saying names matters. It is one way the heart unloads its sharp edges. After naming them, I imagined placing each name into the waiting hands. The change was subtle, but real. The jaw unclenched. The pace of breath shifted. Nothing dramatic happened to the outside world. Inside, the night found a quieter tone. The hours that followed were not perfect. They were gentler. If guilt presses, the method is the same. Pick the smallest edge of guilt you can hold. Bring it to the doorway. Watch as the other hands accept it without tallying. Picture a soft cloth laid over the stone afterward. The cloth does not make the stain vanish. It makes the stone safe to hold. Shame finds fewer sharp hooks when the stone is wrapped. This sharing is not an erasing of responsibility. It is a rebalancing. Hands take part of the burden, so the feet can find steadier ground. The promise is practical. It is an offer to carry, and to teach how to carry together when sleep feels distant. Let the exchange be repeated with smaller things. Offer a single breath. Offer a small complaint. Offer one memory that keeps coming back. The ritual trains the mind to reach rather than to hoard. Reach with intention. Reach with breath. There is a light that accompanies this exchange. It is not the bright fix of sudden resolution. It is a steady lamp that fills a room enough to see the floor. Its presence calms the startled reflex. Fear needs small, lit spaces to lose its sharpness. Let this light be a companion to the hands that receive. Practice an evening placing now. Lay the last worry of the day on an imaginary table. Close a hand lightly around it once. Breathe out and slide it across to the waiting hands. Notice the small bodily shift. Repeat if needed. Each time the motion becomes less effortful. If tears come while doing this, let them fall. Tears are not a failure. They are a release. The body uses moisture to clean and to soften. Let the tears be part of the handing over. They will not ruin the practice. They will deepen it. We are not alone in this work. Others do this at their bedside in other rooms. Many hands take many stones. The multiplicity gives courage. The practice becomes communal without words. Knowing that others hand things over at night makes the act easier to do. Keep 2 small practices to carry forward. First, Choose one tiny burden each night and offer it. Not many. 1. Second, pair the offering with one small word of thanks. Gratitude does not negate pain. It places a counterweight that steadies the heart. Name one small gift. Breathe it in. Then hand a burden over. These practices shape the body's nights. Tiny gestures change tone. They teach the nervous system that help is possible. The habit trains the hands to reach. I close with a short breathing exercise to carry this idea into sleep. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold 1 quiet beat. Breathe out for 6. As the breath moves out, imagine sliding a stone across the table to the waiting hands. Do this 3 times. On the 3rd out-breath, rest the hands over the heart. Feel any small shift. Let the chest accept the new balance. When the eyelids grow heavy, allow the mind to drift into the light at the center of the room. The hands that receive the stones keep watch. They do not hurry. They remain steady. Sleep can come into that steadiness. I will close the book soon and let the lamp dim. The page will wait for another night. For now, keep the invitation near. Bring 1 small burden. Hand it over. Breathe out. Let the body welcome the quiet. Rest in the company of those steady hands. When the next part of the night is ready, I will turn the page and read on. I sit very still for a moment. The lamp is low. The book rests in my hands like a small promise. I have read to you tonight. I have offered images and small acts. I have held a hand out across the dark. Now I come to the close. The room breathes with the same slow pattern. Inhale. Exhale. The body answers when the voice moves slow enough. Small motions steady the nerves. That is the work of this hour. It is not miraculous fireworks. It is a soft rearrangement. The mind loosens, even if only by a fraction. The chest finds a little more room. I invite 1 more simple act. Place a hand lightly over the sternum. Feel the little lift under the palm. Keep the shoulders soft. Let the jaw unclench. Notice the weight of the room on the bed or the chair. Allow the support to be a fact. The world does not need to be carried alone tonight. Think of presence as a physical thing. Imagine a wide, quiet canopy that stretches above. It is not heavy. It is shelter. It does not smother. Rain may patter on the fabric. The canopy still holds. It keeps the immediate space calm. The canopy is not an idea only. It is felt, like the warmth of a blanket across the knees. I do not ask for grand acts of faith. I only ask permission to let the presence in. Permission comes as a soft opening. A finger loosens a clenched hand. A breath lengthens. A thought yields its tightness for a moment. These small permissions are enough. They give the body a new script to follow, while the mind watches and learns. Listen to the slow things in the room, the small creak of wood, the hush at the window, the soft, even rhythm of breath. Let those sounds be the companions to what I read next. The words are a blessing that has been spoken to many across many nights. I am the one who reads it to you now. I say it slowly, so the ear can savor each line. I do not speak to force belief. I speak to place peace in the room. Imagine light like a gentle hand. It moves across the forehead, then the throat, then the chest. It does not burn. It warms. It smooths small wrinkles in tension. It settles under the ribs. The warmth is steady. It is patient. It keeps watch without fuss. Let that image be simple. Let the body accept the feeling as if someone had just covered the shoulders with a soft throw. When fear rises, name it once. Give it a single word in the mind, and then let it sit at the edge of the room. Do not chase it. Do not try to reason it into silence. Return instead to the pulse under the hand. Feel the palm lift and fall. Let the breathing act as an anchor. The anchor is small. It holds enough. I speak words now that are an ancient benediction. I say them as a closing for tonight. Say them with me in the mind, if that helps. Hear each phrase as a small lamp that lights a corner. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. I breathe after each phrase. The cadence is slow. The final line is like a long exhale. Give the words time to settle into the body. Let the syllables sink into the chest. Do not push for feeling. Allow a small easing to arrive in its own time. The blessing is not a magic switch. It is a presence pulled close. It is a promise that watches and tends. Picture hands that do not tally faults. Picture eyes that do not measure failures. Picture a steady look that turns toward you and rests there. That look is not distant. It meets the small things, the ache in the shoulder, the sleepless thought, the grief that visits uninvited. Each is seen. Each is kept. Place the palms over the eyes for a few seconds if it helps. Press very gently. When you lower the hands, let the darkness feel like a soft room rather than a hungry absence. Darkness need not be an enemy. It is often the cloth in which rest is wrapped. The blessing moves into that cloth and keeps it warm. If tears come, let them. They are a form of language the body knows well. Let them be a washing, not a sign of failure. The blessing includes them. Hold them up for the same steady gaze. They will be met with the same gentle attention. I will name a few short images to carry you into sleep. No long stories now. Simple, concrete things. Picture a small harbor, boats, bob without frantic motion. The water is quiet enough to reflect the night sky. Each boat rests. Each has a line to shore. The lines are not knotted. They are secure. The harbor does not promise a fair wind tomorrow. It promises a place to be until the wind changes. Picture a lamp on a wooden table. Its circle is small but true. It does not try to outshine the stars. It simply makes the cup and the book visible. It keeps a hand from stumbling in the dark. Let that lamp be a symbol of the blessing you have received. Keep it near in the mind. Picture a hand laid gently across a brow. The hand does not rush. It stays until the fever cools. Trust that the hand knows the rhythm of patience. It will not leave when the night grows long. The presence is faithful in the ordinary ways. If the mind makes plans in the dark, let them be small. Choose one thing to do in the morning. and write it down. If that helps, the rest can wait. This practice keeps the night for night's work, rest, and receiving. Morning will hold time for action. Night is for being. Now let breath do the final work. Breathe in gently for 4 counts. Hold a soft beat. Breathe out for 7 counts. Make the out-breath longer than the in-breath. Repeat this 3 times. Each out-breath carries a quieter thought out with it. Each in-breath brings the warmth of the blessing closer to the bones. I will stay with this slow rhythm for a minute. If the eyelids feel heavy, let them close. If sleep comes, that is a good and proper gift. If wakefulness remains, keep the breathing steady and the image near. Stay with the lamp, the harbor, the hand at the brow. These are companions that do not demand answers. Remember that mercy is practical. It shows up as a coolness on the forehead. It shows up as help when feet falter. It shows up as a voice that says, "You do not have to carry everything tonight." The blessing you have heard carries mercy at its center. Let that mercy be ordinary enough to touch the physical edges of your night. I am the one who reads the Bible to you before sleep. I have done so gently tonight. The words I choose are soft steps you can follow back to rest. The pages will wait. The lamp will dim when it is time. The promise that has been read is steady. It does not vanish when the breath deepens into sleep. There is a final, quiet permission I offer. Give yourself the small grace of not fixing everyone's story tonight. Let one small hurt rest. Let one small thing go. You may return to the rest later with clearer eyes. For now, accept the shelter that has been offered. Let the blessing make a circle in the room. Again, hear the words as I say them slowly, each one deliberate and soft. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Rest with those syllables. Let the final phrase unfold like a long sea breath. The peace is a present placed on the chest. It is not a demand for perfect calm. It is a companion granted for the night. Let it fill the small spaces inside the ribs. I place the book closed on my knee. The lamp is lower now. The circle of light is smaller. The room leans toward sleep. If eyes close, let the blessing continue silently in the mind. If wakefulness lingers, return to the breath and the images. They will not hurry you. One last breath together. Breathe in quietly. Hold a short beat. Breathe out fully and feel the peace rest as a hand across the heart. Keep that hand there as long as it soothes. Know that the blessing is not a one-time thing. It can be returned to often. It will wait for you in the dark. Sleep when it comes. Rest while it lasts. When morning brightens the lamp. May this same peace meet you again, steady and patient. For now, be held, be kept, be graced, be given peace. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for the quiet that you brought. The presence of a listening heart changes the room. It steadies the breath. It makes the pages in my lap mean something again. I am the one who reads these words to you before sleep. That is the small work I keep doing. It is a simple duty. It is also a kind favor. Reading is an offering of steadiness. The book rests here, and so do we. Together in the slow dark. Tonight we shared many small images. We practiced handing over one stone at a time. We practiced soft breath and patient watching. We practiced accepting little gifts that are not earned. Those acts are not a checklist. They are gentle habits. They build a quieter night. I want to say something plain and true. Thank you for trusting the hour. Thank you for allowing the heart to be honest. Thank you for bringing whatever you had, tiny joys. Rafedgus. Ordinary fatigue. All of it matters. All of it is welcome. This session closes, but the tenderness does not vanish. The words we carried together remain like a soft cloth folded and set beside the bed. They are simple things to return to. A slow breath, a named worry tucked into a pocket, a single short note of thanks. Those small acts can be done again tomorrow and the next night. If it helps, do one small thing before the lamp goes out. Place the hand lightly over the chest. Feel the steady beat beneath the palm. Breathe in 2 soft counts. Hold the inhale for a small beat. Breathe out slowly for 4 counts. Let the exhale be a gentle release. Repeat once more. The body notices this sequence quickly. It answers in muscles and in a tiny slackening of the jaws. Choose one line to carry into the dark. Make it no longer than a whisper. It could be a single word such as rest, enough, stay, or peace. Hold that word with the breath for 3 slow cycles. Use it as a tiny lantern for the mind when thoughts press. The word is not a law. It is a small companion. If you kept a small note during the reading, tuck it into the pocket of a book or slide it beneath the pillow. Treat the act like an offering of homework for mercy, something placed where it will be looked after. The physical motion helps the nervous system accept a different posture. It teaches the hands what it feels like to set things down. There is a kind of gratitude that is not loud. It sits like a low flame in the belly. Try to notice one tiny thing from today that felt like kindness. It need not be grand. A warm cup, a sentence that made you laugh, a moment that did not hurt as much as expected. Look at that small light. Let it be noticed until it warms a little corner of the chest. Many of you listen from rooms far apart. That matters. The community of quiet people doing the same small practices creates a subtle strength. Imagine a row of windows along a midnight street. Each window casts a thin rectangle of light. Each light is small. Together they keep the horizon soft. That shared presence changes the feel of being alone. If sleep comes quickly, lead it. If it comes slowly, remain patient with your body. Do not measure the night by how soon the eyes close. The work of rest is not always visible. Often, it is a number of tiny namings, breathings, and offerings that add up over time. Before the final dimming, take one more simple action. Offer one small sentence to the quiet. It can be a request or a short holding word. Speak it inside softly. Do not aim for drama. The sentence is the lid on the day. It gives a final shape to the mind's list. Then let the sentence rest. Tonight and on other nights, Bring what is true. No need for perfect words. No need for performance. The pages I read are not tests. They are invitations. The invitation is always open. Come back when the heart needs a lamp. Return when the night feels heavy. Come, even when the day holds small gratitudes that you want to tuck into the dark. I will be here again. I will keep the voice steady and slow. I will choose phrases that land lightly. The book will sit open in the same way, patient and unhurried. There is no requirement to be anything but present. The sessions are a practice in gentleness, not in argument or contests of faith. If messages or notes arrive, they are read as small echoes of this circle. The presence of others shapes the room. It steadies the act of listening. When possible, occasional brief acknowledgements will be given. The community remains a quiet, mutual encouragement. For the rest of the night, let the body be led by small senses. Notice a cool patch of air near the cheek. Notice the way the pillow supports the neck. If a thought pulls like a hook, name it once and lay it aside. Imagine a soft pocket at the edge of the room where it can be watched and tended later. If tears come, allow them. They are part of the body's honest language. They help unbind tight places. If laughter bubbles unexpectedly, welcome it too. Both tears and laughter are signs of openness. Both are part of being human and alive in the dark. Keep nothing that must be carried by force. Offer it instead into the quiet we practiced. Lay down one burden tonight, not many. Choose the smallest one and let the motion be deliberate and kind. The act trains the hands and the nervous system over time. The habit makes rest more possible. Remember that mercy is practical. It shows up in ordinary ways. A hand in the night, a neighbor's small kindness, a warm blanket, a voice that steadies without pressuring. These quiet realities are proofs that care exists. Let them be evidence enough tonight. When the hour arrives to turn off the lamp, do it with intention. Make the motion slow and respectful. Let the final click be a small benediction. Close the book gently. Feel the cover beneath the palm. The act marks the end of one shared hour and the gentle beginning of rest. I will say good night now, in a plain and soft voice. The words are simple, good night. Sleep gently. Be kept. Hold them inside like a small fold in cloth. Let the phrase settle into the hollow beneath the ribs. If waking happens in the night, return to a single small practice. Breathe slowly. Name one word. Offer one small thing into a safe pocket in the imagination. Do not judge the awakening. Treat it as a minor interruption and guide the breath back to its steady rhythm. When the morning comes, there will be time for plans and small steps. For now, allow the night to do its work. Let the body take what it needs. Let the quietness of shared listening linger. Rest is not a thing you earn this night. It is something permitted to you. Thank you again for staying. Thank you for the willingness to be gentle with yourself. Thank you for bringing honest questions and quiet joys. The presence is noticed. The hour is kept in the same slow way. It began with patience and a steady breath. I will close with a small promise from me. I will return with these pages when you are ready. The voice will be steady. The images will be simple. The purpose will always be to bring a calm before sleep, mercy for the tired places, and hope that moves slowly into morning. Now, let the last small light dim. Close the book. Rest the hand on the chest if it comforts. Breathe 3 slow times. Let each exhale be longer than the one before. Feel the body accept the night. Good night. Rest gently. Come back when you need the lamp. The quiet waits. The book will be here. The voice will be here. The welcome will be the same.